With 2 rounds in the books, 8 of the best players on the planet were back to do battle in the hunt for the title. Tournament leader Ian Nepomniachtchi extended his lead with a big win against fellow Russian Kirill Aleksenko, and now stands a full point ahead of his main rivals with only 4 rounds to go. It's the round after the rest day, and the players are refreshed and ready to fight to the bitter end. Round 11 coverage of the candidates in Yekaterinburg, Russia starts now.
Welcome, everybody. It is round 11 of the candidates to determine the challenger to Magnus Carlsen for the World Championship. We are bringing you the action that is taking place at the Hyatt Regency in Yekaterinburg. And what a tournament we've had so far, full of drama, full of incidents. My name is Alejandro Ramirez. I'm here with Grandmasters Maurice Ashley and Yasser Seirawan to bring you all the action of today. Yasser, what a bunch of rounds we've had, but a clear leader, and what a favorite he is right now.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. We have had a free day, a much needed free day, because I got to tell you, the tournament has been so tense, and those starting rounds really kept me on the edge of my seat. And yes, our tournament leader, Nepo, he's looking really, really good at the moment to become the next challenger, Maurice.
Yes, after 3 rounds, what more could you want? A point lead on the rest of the field with only 4 rounds to go. Remember, only 7 rounds to play. So everybody came in feeling they needed a quick start. Everyone got one, at least Fabi did, Anish did, MVL, not so much. But Nepo got what the doctor ordered in round 3. And I don't know, guys, if I were a betting man for this event, it looks like Nepo is very much in the driver's seat.
Let's take a look at the standings, Alejandro.
It's Jan Nepomniachtchi, as we've been talking about, the man of the hour, 6.5 points. That puts him a full point of that out of that hungry pack. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Fabiano Caruana, and Anish Giri all within striking distance, just a point difference. But can they make it up in so few rounds? Wang Hao and Alexander Grischuk with 4.5 points. Not mathematically eliminated, but pretty much, while Ding Liren and Kirill Aleksenko, they're not going to be fighting for the first place in this tournament. Let's take a look at the format. It is, of course, a double round robin, of which the first round robin was played last year. Very classical chess, 100 minutes for the first 40 moves, 50 minutes for the next 20, and of course at move 60 you get another 15 minutes for the rest of the game. Something we've actually seen a few times already in this second half of the round robin. All throughout you get a 30-second increment, so that's a very long games. No draw offers before Black's 40th move, and a 500,000 euro prize fund, which, as we all know, it pales in comparison to that ticket to the World Championship in Dubai later this year. Let's take a look at the schedule. As we just came out of our first rest day, we have a round today, a round tomorrow, and we will have our second rest day. The players will resume on April 26th and 27th with games 13 and 14, probably to finish off the tournament, as playoffs are unlikely. Remember that mathematical playoffs in this tournament take precedence over the board playoffs. Those will not be necessary unless every single mathematical one is tied, which is extremely unlikely. But there will be some scenarios in which that happens. Maurice, what is going on with the 4 players that can take this tournament?
Well, indeed, we have been talking about the big 4 so far, and rightfully so. It doesn't look like anyone else could possibly pull off a miracle in order to come back. And let's take a look at these players, because they have their hopes pinned on how the road ahead goes. Anish Giri to start. We saw him with a big win against Wang Hao. He's got these 4 players, including Ding Liren today, Caruana tomorrow. That will indeed be a big game. And then 2 players who are pretty much out of it, Grischuk and Aleksenko. They know he'll be hunting for them. Will he be able to pull off some big wins in order to close the gap against Nepo. Remember, he actually lost to Nepo earlier in the event, so he's going to have to do even more to tie him, or to defeat him, I should say. Fabiano Caruana, also with Nepo this round, with his aspirations, he gets Geary tomorrow, and then Wang Hao and Grishchuk. But look at the results he had against them in the first part of the tournament. 4 draws. He can't keep that up if he's going to become a candidate, or I should say the candidate once more. Not a chance. He's got to find some points. Otherwise, he can simply forget about it. And Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, he was sitting so pretty after the first 7 rounds, but 2 bad rounds, I should say at least 1 big loss against Caruana, dropped him back off the pace. And now he's got Grishchuk and Alexenko. 2 good matchups if you want dynamic play. But look at round 13 against Nepo once again. Can he pull it off once more? The victory that he had in round 7, we shall see. That's going to be a huge game that's coming up in round 13. And finally, the man everybody in this tournament is jealous of at the moment, Jan Nepomniachtchi. He is a point ahead of the field. A big win against his countryman Kirill Alexenko has put him in this enviable position. He has Caruana today, and then his next 3 players, look at the results he had against them in rounds 5, 6, and 7. A win, a loss, and a win. He will definitely be looking for more goodies like that. More wins and losses, of course. This mercurial player, we know he plays incredibly quickly. His talent is undisputed. He's just simply a brilliant tactician, a creative player, sometimes too creative for his own good, but it looks like it's put him in a great situation in this event. And who knows, will Russia find another challenger, guys? Sergei Karyakin did it back in 2016. Is it time once again for Nepo to possibly bring the title home to Mother Russia?
Well, let's take a look at the full pairings for this round 11, Alejandro.
Nepomniachtchi against Caruana, we've mentioned it, and that is a big game, but as we'll see soon, maybe a bit of a dud. Alexenko against Wang Hao, definitely an interesting game, but not the most important for the standings. Alexander Grishchuk with the white pieces against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Despite the black pieces of the Frenchman, you know that he's going to be fighting for some sort of sharpness. He needs to be scoring some points. Speaking of that, Anish Giri with the white pieces, he needs to find some way to press against the ultra-solid Ding Liren, who hasn't really been in top shape in this tournament, but what a dangerous player he can be. And Yasser, let's jump right into the action. Where do we get started today?
Yeah, the games have been underway. Let's start with our tournament leader, Nepo. He's white against Fabi. Fabi obviously trailing by a point, needs to do something. Nepo is very, very happy with the draw. It was a scotch, a very topical scotch opening. And after these early trades, they quickly got themselves into a ending that so far, all we've been seeing throughout is just pieces getting traded, more and more pieces getting traded, more and more pieces getting traded. So much so that at the end of, as we get started, the players are in a rook ending, which to my eyes is a dead draw. They'll play it till move 40, but nothing's happening there.
Yeah, so if I may, yes. While you do that, this is the kind of position a lot of amateurs might say, "What draw? What? What are you talking about?" It looks like he's got an extra pass pawn, but you would assess that this pass pawn is not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's 3 versus 2, so it's an equal pawn structure, but this pawn is basically blocked. As soon as the rook goes to b7, well, you can't actually do that, because then after a trade of rooks, whoops, the black rook gets behind the pass pawn, forces white to put his rook in a very ungainly spot on a7, where all it's doing is nursing the pawn. No chance that this pawn is ever going to promote with this rook firmly behind it. The problem, as amateur players may discover for themselves, you just can't push the pawn through. If you did something nice, like something like this, for the idea of bringing your rook to the 7th, whoop, there goes the pawn. So in short, it's just simply impossible for white to make headway. Now, on the other side, if you're Fabi fans and saying, well, does Fabi have any chances? Fabi will have to push his pawns all the way up to the king side, create some kind of a mating threat, and then, no, all you're going to end up is getting a perpetual check at best. So I'm sorry to say to all the fans, draw in the offing there. Let's just jump to the game between Kirill and Wang Hao. Interesting idea of Wang Hao out of the opening. He started a flank attack on the king side, early flank attack with h6, g5. We all saw Vladimir Kramnik beat Levon Aronian in Berlin, and that became such a very popular way of play for Black. But this position, I see it as basically pretty darn balanced. There's weaknesses on the king side, you bet, but there's also a big weakness on d3. Let's jump to two much more exciting games. These are the games of the round. Alexander Grishuk has sacrificed a pawn against MVL for these kinds of, I want to say, dragon style attacks. You know what I'm talking about, Maurice. You love this stuff. H4, H5, sack, sack, mate, as Bobby Fischer would say. I don't know if it's a sack, sack, mate, but a very exciting game going on between Grishuk and MVL. And finally jumping to another game, a resurgent Anish Giri up with the white pieces against Ding Liren, and in a position where both players have kings on opposite flanks. We love those types of middle games, double-edged middle games. Black is going to try to open up the king side. White is going to pry open the queen side. He's just played, has Anish, the move bishop e3, trying to force c5 AB.
But check out that response. I love Ding Liren's response. Boom! F5
Boom.
Out of nowhere. I don't care that you're attacking my pawn on c5.
Wow.
F5 just like, what a great move. What's the point if you take on f5? I think you go c4.
F5, c4, and e4, or e4 right away?
I think you start with c4 because that hits the knight on b3, right? If you take on c4, I'll go e4, and that's a nasty pin because you take on f3 with a tempo, so you're going to lose a knight.
Whoops. Don't want to do that. Don't have time for g4. But Alejandro, let's see what would happen. You did get to play c4, but okay, I'm rolling with, ooh, is there some nasty?
I don't know. Spider sense is tingling. I don't see it. I don't see it yet, though.
I don't see it at the moment either.
What happens if I... So I take on... I know, but I take on d3. You'd have to take on d3, and I take on f3. It's that simple. And how do you take back?
The very desirable knight f3 walks into e4. Nice point. I think it's that simple.
Yeah, because if you take with the pawn strategically, this is terrible.
Those are nice pawn sacrifices for Black. I play this all day with the Black side. No, not happy about that. But the other move, I'm a pawn grabber in the family here. Only room for one. Let me take it like this. Obviously, you don't want me to take and play g4, so I'm assuming after bishop c5, knight c5.
I don't think you take that, right? I think you go queen f7.
Oh, thank you. Of course you do. You go queen f7. That's a nasty tempo against my knight. And if I am forced to retreat, in this way, you can force me to have some ugly double pawns.
How ugly is that,
But
though?
how ugly? Yeah, it is a pawn, right?
It is a pawn.
You also open up the B file as well to B7 access, so that wouldn't be anything to write home about.
Maybe you have to go crazy, go like g5 or something.
And not to take on c5, but to go g5.
Yeah.
Now that's going crazy.
It is a bit nuts.
I could do crazy. Wait a minute.
Take on the take now, and you have to be very mindful about what's happening next. If you're Black, you can sacrifice a piece in this line.
I was gonna play g4, but maybe
it's a bit much.
Is it g4 here?
No, that's fun. Now, this kind of crazy. Sign me up for it. This is a commentator's dream.
Oh yeah,
double-edged position. I mean, wow. Really, I would have a lot of fun if the players were to enter these crazy.
I love how
crazy
you're saying
waters.
how you would have fun. The players have
as
to
a
play this darn
commentator.
thing. What is happening? But I have to say this. If I'm Anish Giri in this situation, Ding Liren going all out, there are two
F5.
possibilities. One is the real Ding Liren. Will the real Ding Liren please stand up? If he shows up and plays this kind of brilliant chess and knocks you out, well, too bad. But if you're Anish Giri looking for a game where you might get chances to win, this is it. You've got to show yourself. Are you ready to defeat Magnus Carlsen or challenge Magnus Carlsen at least? You've got to show yourself when somebody dares to play this kind of chess against you that you can not only defend the position, but that you can win the position. So this kind of imbalance position after that quiet opening, guys, this is all you could dream of if you have white. You might lose the game. It's a 3-result game.
I don't think that's anybody's dream.
No, you might lose the game. But if you play for the win, if you want to win, what more do you want than a position where it's not clear? Would you bet the house that black's going to win this game just because the move F5 is on the board?
No.
It's not a clear position. So therefore, it's anybody's chances. You've got to show yourself if you're going to become the challenge.
Absolutely. It's a great test for Anish Giri because, like you said, it's all about becoming the challenger. And let's face it, if you want to play the top dog, number 1 in the world, you got to get past player number 3 and player number 2. Well, player number 3, Ding Liren, on the other side.
Not
And
anymore.
he's played bishop takes on c5.
Not anymore, guys. Remember, Ding Liren no longer the number 3 player in the world
Why is that?
because Jan Nepomniachtchi passed him last round.
Thanks to the winner. So a lot of good things have happened to Nepo overnight. Look at this. Bishop takes c5, by the way, on the board. And, this is just, I have experienced this so many times. You play in these really strong double round robin events, and it's like somebody, it's the definition of the tournament. Somebody's got to be last. So there's Ding Liren, wallowing away in the basement. And you're just hoping that, he doesn't do anything crazy special. And, he could play spoiler roles to Anish Giri really easy in this type of position.
He's already done it this tournament, right? He started with 2 losses, did Ding Liren. And then Fabi went all out with a prepared novelty, sacrificed 2 pawns in the Slav. And Ding Liren just refuted it over the board.
Near perfect game. I mean, I don't like to say that. We're human beings. We don't play perfectly. But I got to tell you, that was a real tip of the hat to Ding Liren to withstand the double pawn sacrifice. I remember, and he just neutralized the initiative, and he played perfect. It was
Guys, bishop c5 is on the board.
I know.
You see, the capture has been played. He's down a pawn now. Talk about sacrificing pawns. He's the one who's down a pawn now. And Giri, basically with this move, is saying, thanks for the pawn, and maybe I'll pull off what you pulled off against Fabi. Got it. Now show me what you got.
Pocket. Yeah.
Queen f7 is certainly playable, but as you pointed out, there are defensive resources for white.
Yeah, well, this is the most natural move. I thought knight takes c5 was actually a natural move too, but then after knight takes c5, what are you going to do is you're just going to play a positional pawn sacrifice with f4, and you know what it's all about.
Queen f7 has been played.
Right.
I think you leave this bishop alone because it's not doing much to you right now. You don't know if the knight might take it on a better timing.
Right.
And
exactly.
It's a nice tempo.
I like the move Queen f7, tempoing the knight. By the way, I'd just like to catch your quick judgment on this position, because I have played, I played e4, e5, I'm white, and I go bishop. I've played the Joko piano as white, and a Max Lang attack where I've sacrificed a pawn in order to get this kind of pin on my opponent, and then played for a kingside attack. I used to love that as white. In other words, this is right out of my schoolboy textbook here. I like black, but what do you guys think? It's a pawn, but you're not playing d4 anytime soon, and g5, g4 is really fast. Just a quick judgment. Who would you prefer, black or white in this position?
I think normally I would prefer black, but there's the move queen a2 bothers me.
Queen a2.
Yeah.
Just saying, go ahead, ding my king side, and
yeah.
I like black all day.
Yeah, but if you get king h2, rook g1, this would be great. I mean, if I get it, right?
Yeah, you're not,
but if I don't get it, this doesn't work.
It's coming so fast.
Yeah, go rook h1.
Rook h1, and now it's time to run the other. Okay,
but that's the thing, right? If I get to e2, I'm basically winning.
Winning is strong, but I understand the point. Okay, you're saying that some fancy defensive resources and you're happy, but yeah, the initiative does lie with black in that pawn sacrifice. Dinglerin said, hey, listen, that may be whatever, I'm not interested. I play queen f7. Ball's back in Anish's court, Maurice. What did we come up with last time?
We played knight back to d2, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you're also holding f3 with this.
Yes. Guarding f3, so there are no ideas on that score ever. However, again, the c-pawn that he took, it's a long-term sacrifice to be sure. Black doesn't quite feel it in this moment. And black is thinking aggression. I don't see exactly how it plays itself out, but white doesn't seem to have any real future in this position in terms of what's the plan. And I like your f4 move, by the way, wondering what that bishop is doing on c5 as, there's this, I don't feel the pawn loss. If I had black in this position, if you just dropped me in a position and said, don't count pawns, just, what do you think? Like, man, black looks nice. That pin, g5 is coming eventually. What's not to like about black's game? This looks like tailor-made for an attack. By the way, speaking of tailor-made for an attack, we've got to look at the other game. The two of these contenders might be going down as Grischuk has shown up with some bombs he's decided to drop today against Maxime. What a sacrifice we saw early with h5. Don't forget, that h5 move to open up the file was played. And now we see g4 allowing knight takes f4, by the way. He did not take on f4. Instead, allow this g-pawn to rambunctiously run down the board. We've got to analyze this line. Obviously, knight takes on f4 was a playable move, but it would have opened up the h-file tremendously. And we're seeing in this, I'm just noticed he made a move that the engines hate. I'm seeing some kind of bar go nuts in this position. Knight back to h5. You just made two moves and put a knight back on h5, allowing f5, potential f6. Maxime might be getting pasted in this game.
I mean, f5, f6 looks really sad. You need to do something about that.
Normally speaking, when I think about the types of attacks that white players do get against the dragon, normally that f-pawn hasn't played such a huge role. Playing f3, f5, guys, this feels like it could just be strategically lost. Well,
strategically,
tactically.
You're lucky if you walk out of here with your teeth still in your mouth. This is awful looking.
What do you do here?
Well, you mentioned a moment ago, knight takes f4. I agree. The H file is open. Why did Maxime? Probably he was just frightened to death of rook h7. And I mean, look at that bishop. Usually the dark square bishop for white is not fianchettoed. Maybe he just thought this was gone.
I'd be scared.
I'd be terrified.
I'm also scared with the pawn being on f5, though, and this might be the lesser evil.
Okay, after knight back, I was thinking.
I'm sorry, guys.
Knight... Oh, sorry.
Could we? You say? I just want to continue this line with a little bit of a crazy punch. Takes. Rook h7.
Immediately.
No,
completely stupid.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe me either, but I just want to see it. Keep going. And now my little knight d5 I want to play.
No, knight d5 immediately, right? If you go rook e8.
Yeah.
Because that threatens
That's
checkmate
right.
on. I don't see the checkmate after bishop takes b2, but
Well, there is a queen hanging. I mean,
I don't have a choice because knight d5 gets mated.
well, did I
Immediately.
have a choice? You mean I should have played f6?
I think so.
Yes. Gotcha. I agree
And
with that.
let's go. Queen h7, rook h6.
And is there a real
Oh,
threat?
no, there's
here?
queen g1, queen g4.
Yeah, queen g1, queen g4 covers everything.
Oops,
Ooh,
oops,
nasty. Nasty. That's the end of
slows
that
up.
attack.
Okay, that refutes that. And there was no way to get anything else. No. All right.
But the point is there, Maurice, is that H-pawn is tender. It's going nowhere. Queen H2, you need the battery anyway. Bam. The defense looks
Difficult, right?
Really difficult. I think Maxime probably made a good choice. F6.
But hold on, with your H-pawn leading, I mean with your rook leading and not your queen after queen H2, bishop E5
That's brave.
and rook C3.
No. Rook C3. No.
You're not. Are you mating me somewhere? I'm just joking.
Yes. And no jam for you.
What do you mean? I'm running, right? So
You're not running anywhere. Queen H6.
queen
Rook
H6 is
H8.
next. So
I
my queen
gotcha.
can't figure out how to.
Queen d4 at the end?
Oops, sorry.
No, go rook c8, queen h6. I'll play devil's advocate. Queen
Oh
d4.
no, Queen D4.
I'm still going to
Oh!
defend.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
there you go.
battery, all right. But oh my gosh, that's crazy. All
Mhm.
right, just a second. So check. And I gotta have a mate here. I just don't believe. I just don't believe there's no mate.
I agree
Come
with
on.
you. That one.
I
Looks
mean
problematic, to be sure.
that would be against the rules. But okay.
Oh, hold on. In this. No,
oh, geez.
I had a crazy idea, but forget it.
Oh geez. Sorry, it was here. What, Maurice?
No, I miscounted because I'm only up a piece. So I was trying to win your rook by sacrificing my queen. But it
Queen
looks like
g1
it's-
business.
Yeah, my idea. You can take a look if you want.
Sure, please.
Show the line, the same line you went through, all the way to your g5 move.
Rook takes c3.
So that's a
Rook
piece.
takes-
What is this? So it's a piece and
No.
2 pawns at the moment, right? So it's a piece and 2.
Oh no, it
pawns.
was bishop e5. Sorry, I apologize. Bishop e5, rook h7, rook c3.
So it's a piece and 1 pawn now. Rook moves. All right, rook
I-
over, rook over,
rook over.
and then you play check in g5.
Yeah, I mean, you probably should start with queen d4 if you're going to go into this variation of it, rook fc8, I think. Oh, no, but that's made on h8. That's made on h7, never mind.
Exactly.
Or
Okay,
is it?
so
Just for the audience, what Alejandro was saying, yeah, queen d4 looks really good. You do protect the mate, but the problem is,
no,
well,
but
this is the same variation of queen h7 mate, but you could play king g7 in this case, right?
Yeah,
Does
you
that make
could.
it different?
I could take on, I could play g5. Yeah, that seems like mate. Ooh, tricky. Very tricky. What a move.
Sorry, it's like, wait a minute. No,
wake up,
no.
wake up, have your coffee after a move like that one. Hitting the queen and threatening mate on b2. Point that out, Yaz. You gotta show your genius. In that,
No, it's not my genius. It's like,
that's brilliant. Hitting the queen, protecting all the mates, hitting the rook on h8, and oops, by the way, I'm threatening mate on b2. There's a lot of calculation you can make here, but I think that black.
Yeah, I
But
think
hold
black
on,
comes
I could
ahead.
take. But if you take the queen, and then take on e5 with check, and then take the rook, and we get this position, black is still in a box. The
it's
rooks
true.
will leave the board, the rooks leave the board in this line, but the pawn on f4. We're
pawn
still
on
going.
F4.
check and take this piece, and now you can check and test the king if you want to. Where will the king go? If you go to c7, let's make this point. If you go to D7 is perfect, but if you go to C7, then rook F8 and you're behind this pawn getting that, and the F pawn doesn't run. But King D7 brings a completely different argument because now you could go after the B pawn, but you got to worry about that F pawn. What is this endgame, guys? King C1?
I think for a lot of dragon players, they're kind of happy. It's weird. I think we've probably gone way off the tracks here. Let me just refresh the position for a moment.
Well, Grishik hasn't moved, so we can sit on this and languish as long as we want.
Hold on. What's the current game position?
The same position. It hasn't changed.
Yeah, this is the position.
And Grishik has not played the move F5?
Are you surprised?
Yeah.
It's Grishuk after all.
It's Grishik. I mean, we've seen him not make captures that were forced.
That is true. That is true.
Much less a move like F5, committal with possibilities.
I remember at the Sinkville Cup, they had just made time control, and he had the most obvious recapture that we've ever had to do commentary for. And he sat, I don't know, for like 30 minutes before he played the most obvious move. And it was like, dude, what were you calculating? But here, F5, it begs to be played. Alternatives?
Rook takes H5.
Yeah, there's alternatives, but F5 looks so convincing.
Completely impractical to play like this when you have such simple move to play. This one also.
The only thing I don't like is like this queen might just intrude.
But F5 anyway, right? I mean, F5 is coming. You're just going to play it. So it seems just the right thing to do.
No, but I like this less, actually. Rook DH1, Queen F2 seems kind of annoying.
Well, I can't kick the queen out of dodge, right?
It kind of sticks around, which is annoying.
Yeah, exactly. You want just a clean attack. No, I agree. And for those reasons, I'm thinking F5, F6, bury the bishop here, sacrifice the exchange, and again, to quote Bobby Fischer, mate. F5, F6, not what I want, but
oh my God.
I'm looking for it. It's so bad, really.
I mean,
knight D5.
Even knight D5 is such an awkward move to deal with.
Take with the queen and stop. I can sack on H5 now?
Yeah, H5 is not even a sack, it just wins.
Just play G6 on the next move.
Yeah, G6 next move.
Stop.
Horse is dead.
Yeah, this is really, this is now this. Well, wait a minute. C2 might be.
I think I start with FG6, right? Because that's an actual threat.
And then double it, and he can.
Gotcha. Okay. Now you're talking. That's chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Munch. Rook takes H5.
Check. No, stop. Please.
No, that's
very not okay. So I mean, I don't understand it. After F5, I don't even see a defense.
Well, maybe you just move the rook, because I mean the bishop on H8 is just going to let me to be mated, right? Agreed. I'm gonna get mated down the H file at some point if I put the bishop on H8. So let's put it on F8. Hope for the best.
Seriously, close your eyes to the king side, because it's not going to be pretty.
No.
But okay, yum. I mean, nobody likes defending, but this just has there's nothing appealing about Black's position here. I mean, you're supposed to enjoy yourself when you're playing chess, and if you're Black, there's no pleasure here.
There's just terrible. No counterplay anywhere. There's no threat you can make.
Maybe you have to play like
no threat.
Or something dumb like this, but
even this, with this outstanding knight coming to one of these two squares, no, I just.
Well, maybe I had Rook C2. Did Rook C2 work? As Fabi has drawn against Jan Nepomniachtchi, we expected that result for sure. And you take on C2 maybe, and say that this endgame is not so bad for me.
Because you do, at least in this case, have a passer. That's a good looking passer.
H4.
Well, it's not that good looking.
HG3.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is. HG3, King E2, Bishop C5. But even this is lost. King F3 and you take on E. Even this is losing. Amazing.
You know it's bad when even your the desperados are losing. By the way, sorry to boldly state the obvious, we did see a draw in the game between Nepo. How far did they play it? Because I was
F5 was played, by the way. F5 is on the board.
That's big. F5 is a big move. But yeah, they went far enough.
The time control.
They got to move 40 as is regulated.
I just want to say, I love these Sophia rules. I've always loved them. I thought that encouraging or forcing the players to play to the first time control, that's a very reasonable thing. No draw offers between move 40. Guys, I mean, it is the rule, but do you like it?
Yeah, sir. When I organized the Millionaire Chess Open, I've always been anti-draw. But when I offered this idea at the Millionaire Chess Open, when I organized that event, I got so much pushback. I mean, people are like, what do you mean? You're going to force them to play chess? Yeah. No way, man. The professionals should be able to do whatever they like. How can you tell them that they can't just play a sleepy draw after 12 moves and walk out of there? That's not your business. Now, of course, it's standard operating procedure in many events. You can't offer a draw early. It's disrespectful to the fans, and the modern day fighters look at it like, so what? Big deal. We can handle ourselves. We're big boys and girls. We can get this done. So yes, I'm 100% for this, and it's shown time and time again that it does not diminish the quality of play. If anything, it improves it and improves the fighting chances and helps with the spectators and the sponsors who are putting up real money. There's just too many benefits for us to be complaining about whether or not the professionals should have rights.
Well, and Alejandro, I wanted to ask you the same, and also from the university collegiate perspective, if that rule exists in those competitions.
Actually, most of collegiate chess nowadays is rapid anyway. So most of those games are fighting chess as it is, and nobody's counting moves. So we don't have a move counter. Nobody's recording their games. So we just let them play, and they're collegiate players. They're out for blood all the time anyway. So we don't really need it at that point. Rapid chess, usually you can see that fights happen organically, whereas in classical chess, you see a lot more, let's say, quick draws, maybe resting draws, but such things just doesn't happen at the collegiate level. Let's take a look at some of what's happened in this Dingler endgame. I'm actually kind of enthused about it because what a crazy way to handle the Spanish, right? You never guess that such a sharp position came from a deferred exchange Spanish, such a quiet variation. But what's going on? I'm eyeing this weaknesses on the king side. I'm eyeing tactics with like G takes H3. I'm eyeing H6. White's still a pawn to the good, but it's kind of blown up, and his king feels a bit unsafe.
It has blown up, and I'm having trouble myself. Because the approach that Ding Liren took was probably what I could best describe as the most ultra aggressive approach that a player can take. I mean, I'm one of those guys who like, to slow play it, go F4, go Rook G8, go G5 and G4, and, maintain this pin. What he did is he played G5, captures, G4. Now, of course, if taking this could be really bad news, but Anish got this opportunity to play knight to G5. So now there is no more pin, and he has played H4, which means that the king side for the moment is just a little bit shut down. And well, there is a massive central square for a knight to one day show up. So is there a knockout? Because if there's not a knockout,
there's no knockout.
There's no knockout? Then
why? I mean, a knockout would be remarkable given conditions on the ground right now. This is
what about something like?
Well, what about like H6 G3? I gotta try something, right?
H6 G3
looks like a pawn, doesn't it? Like you want to sack an
no, you get an exchange.
You want to get an exchange?
No. I'm not gonna take that fast. I'm gonna take on D3.
You're right. Excuse me. Yes, of course.
And then I'm up some material, at least.
Yeah, no. Here you are up material. There's no knight jump. Knight D6 will be captured. Although, yeah, so it'll be,
Okay,
so he'll only have one pawn.
this
for the
is a
exchange.
very forcing variation. H6, G3. Okay. How bad is it that
How
the
about
G file
takes on
has been-
G3 with the pawn?
Oh,
No, but I still fork everything on D3, right?
No, you just fork one person, but rook moves to E1, and that geometric is different. Now you're actually down a pawn, and we'll have to prove some kind of compensation. I can put a knight back.
Back where? You have to go to A1.
yeah. The problem with knight D2 is, oh no. Can you see the X-ray?
Yeah, rook takes.
Bam. Yeah. Well, knight A1, funnily enough, is not that good. No, I don't like the knight on A1. But okay, right here, I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, if you just move the queen, right?
Yeah, just
what's my big idea?
you have opened up the G file. I'll give you that. I mean, but at the moment, it's not checkmate. And again,
Open up the F file.
Yeah. And
Thanks
this
for the
knight
file.
on E4 is.
It's a pretty nice knight.
Yeah. That's
All
a
those
good
last
piece.
several moves, by the way, improved White's pieces. White got the queen to E3, the knight on E4. Like your last two moves, H6. You take this position and you play H6 and G3, and look at White's pieces then, and look at White's pieces now. It's like, thanks for those last few moves. You just simply improved everybody and all my prospects. Great knight, double rooks on the F file, and you're still down a pawn.
Right.
Most tellingly, just to make sure Yasser knows that he doesn't.
Well, either way, apologies there. During that, as we were coming on the air and we were analyzing the game of Fabi, I didn't count the pawns. I thought that Fabi was for choice, didn't really realizing he was a pawn down. So, do count the pawns. Let me know. H4 and okay. The question I had was, okay, let's bring some pieces over to the king side and gift me the pawn on D3 as I'm also angling for ideas of G3. How does this one break?
I'm curious about bishop to
E7.
Oh, we're both on the same page.
Yeah.
Bishop to E7 looks curious.
Well,
and now that again, you're opening the F file with this.
Yeah, here I think I can take on G3. If I can count this correctly. Take on E2, take on F5, take on D3, take on F6, and your rook on D8 is still hanging, so I'll be up a bit of material at the end. Maybe up more than a bit.
not really.
You're only up one pawn.
Only one pawn, and I got two pretty active-looking bishops.
But my knights are not bad here, actually. I go knight E6.
Knight E6. Oh, my desire. No, you've got
Check,
this.
I'll move away. No, that's fine. I'll play king H2.
Okay.
I'm actually thinking white has the initiative for a little bit because my king's very safe on H2.
The black king is in serious trouble. The other knight lands on C5.
That's
you
right.
will have to get rid of that thing. Those knights are beastie.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay, so it is a very, well, again, guys, I just wanted to say, if G5 isn't like really, really great for black, F5, F4 is a very easy move to play. Instead, G5 may be just a bad idea.
Maybe a little overzealous.
Listen, I said this just a few moves ago.
That's a great word.
Right? I said this a few moves ago when, what was the move number? When Anish played the move, bishop takes on C5 on move 18.
Mm-hmm.
When he played bishop takes C5, that was 4 moves ago.
Yeah.
And I said, if you want to win this thing, if you want to win this event, you're going to have to deal with some kind of storm, somebody trying to hurt your feelings. You got to prove yourself. But you just took a pawn. And will the real Slim Shady that is in the body of Ding Loren, will he stand up and show that he's got some compensation, some attacking chances, whatever? But you've got to go into the fire and prove yourself the worthy challenger. And these last few moves has shown that Anish is saying, okay, I see your aggression and I'll take your pawn and let's see what happens. And right now, the way this is going, it looks like the variations completely favor him.
Yeah, we still have to find some kind of real counterplay for black because this knight coming to E4 is extremely annoying.
Absolutely. And again, if I'm in Ding's shoes for just a moment, when we go back to this position, if I was ever going to play a variation with f5, f4, I would like my queen actually to be on e7 square. On the f7 square, I'm always vulnerable to such things. So he made his determination when he played the move queen f7, he made the determination he wasn't going to play for these types of variations with f5, f4. He wanted to do it with g5. With the move queen f7, he basically said, yeah, I'm committing myself to this position. Now, maybe he has something crazy in this position that we're just missing. I mean, this bishop on c7, you'd love to play a move like e5, e4, and blow open the position, but I just don't see that working.
Just take with the queen. The problem is the queen doesn't have any good square to go to.
Right, precisely. The desired idea of setting up a battery just isn't there after queen takes e4. No timing. So h6, knight e4, what the most forcing seems to actually favor white.
No, this looks great for white, actually.
Yeah, and I'm going to say the fact that Ding Liren has stopped and thinking about it this long,
not a good sign.
Is a terrible sign, especially given the lack of confidence he's shown at various points in this event. I'd say Anish is feeling a lot more confident as the seconds tick by. We don't see a natural follow-up. We're trying natural moves, and if we're bereft of ideas, given that the natural lines are not going anywhere, and we're actually able to move the pieces around as well, then it's unlikely that there's anything hyper dramatic that's going to unfold that we don't see. It's not that kind of position. It's not like there's a shocking what about.
No. We got to do something here. We got to go knight f6. I think knight f6 is the only realistic activity. Bishop e7, knight. I mean, they're not my pieces. Who cares? Knight d5.
Exactly. That now you've hit it. This is like exactly what I do with Larry Christensen. Larry and I, you give him and I a position, we throw the pieces. We're down a rook in no time. And then we say to each other, well, look, man, they're not my pieces. Knight d5, let's go. Let's have some fun. Bishop takes. I
have choices.
Big decision, like 3 different decisions on one.
Yeah, because I have 4 decisions. Actually, I could take with the rook. I could even take with the bishop and hit g5.
Mm-hmm.
I could play knight f4 and hit the queen, but I don't see that working after queen e4. I could take on c3, which forks the queen and the rook on b1, but still feels like it'll come out short, right?
Right. That's probably the least.
But the problem is if I take on d8 with either piece, the problem is just something landing on e4, probably a queen even, just to control some squares.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I would love to have a good square for this black queen, right?
Right.
And down upon at the moment. So
an exchange too, that's probably.
An exchange.
And an exchange as well. So yes, I mean, you're not coming back easily from this one.
No, I don't see enough counterplay.
By the way, guys, while he's pondering that and and Geary's chances are growing, Geary fans are becoming a bit more confident in possibilities. Let's take a look at the other wildfire game.
Absolutely.
And Grischuk, I'm going to say something strange, and I know you guys are going to boo me out of here. Get the heck out. What are you talking about? As an attacking player, of course, I love White's position. But if you can't find anything very concrete, it's one of those, how many ways can I crush this guy? This, or this. If you can't find anything concrete and you're Grischuk staring at this position, I might not mind, and even as I'm saying it, I want to punch myself in the face. I might not mind being Maxime in this position.
You say that with a straight face. You say that with a straight face. Did you see that position?
I know. But you know who you're playing, and it's Grischuk. And I know he can prove time pressure like the best of them. He may be the best bad time situation player in the world. But You would have rather had something else, granted, but it is a sharp, crazy position. Maybe he'll go down some wild path that gives you some chances. Maybe. I say that again. Maybe.
Let me answer you very clearly. I once made such a beautiful, eloquent speech to a player, Bent Larson, during a postmortem. He looked at me and he said, "Nobody believes you."
It's worse when you don't believe yourself. We're chess players. We have to falsify our own hypotheses. We've got to have an open mind as much as we can. So I'm trying to have an open mind in this position. And as soon as I said that, my phone just fell and it's like all mayhem breaking out in this space. Like nobody's listening to you, Maurice. But let's take a look. What are you going to do to kill the guy? That's
F6. This is Grishuk's answer to you, Maurice. F6, bishop F8. We were looking at rook H5, guys.
Did he play F6 yet, by the way?
Yes, he did.
Yes, F6 finally played.
F6 bishop F8 is forced.
Well, just a moment. I want to say, the real Maurice Ashley just said it. The master of the attack is sitting there saying, well, there's good defensive possibilities. The guy's going to get in time trouble. There's no immediate knockout blow. Marie, by the way, we've been looking at rook H5, which I think is really strong. I just want to be 100% sure that that this is asking too much.
No, why is this asking too much? Strategic. The thing is, the problem so far, in my opinion, hasn't been so much that you're getting clobbered on the king side, which you kind of are, but you can imagine that maybe in some miracle situations there will be some defense. But where's black's counterplay? If I just exchange your knight on H5, right? Knight G3, I actually like knight G3.
It's D5 or bust. I'm going to say there's only one break, and it's D5 or bust as far as I'm concerned. You've got to, but H5.
No, but I'll take it. Here's the thing. Where is black's play after I take on H6? Maybe I don't penetrate. No, I'll take on H6. Why am I giving you a free pass pawn on the king side? Take on H6.
Yeah. And
whoa. It's D5 or bust. I need to play D5. I cannot just sit here. It's got to be D5. Every variation, every line, you're going to have to calculate this move.
Here, whatever. I'll throw in H7, of course. Why not?
Never.
And I don't believe in this at all. For black, knight takes D5.
Take that pawn on H7.
All right.
To the audience.
Now C2 isn't C2 hanging?
Yeah.
I have to sack an exchange to pull it off.
No, but rook C2, queen C2 should just lose, right? Unless you have rook takes D5.
I was going to start with rook D5. I was thinking rook D5 just to start.
Rook D5 immediately. Okay.
Looking past pawns coming at me. All right, my bishop on F8 is acting like it's guarding the whole shit.
That's kind of funny.
I wouldn't be surprised if. Oh, but at least I have queen C2, queen F2 check.
Well, I have queen E1 here. I mean, I'm not going to give up my material. I'm pretty greedy as a chess player. I don't actually see a threat.
Who needs a threat? I just want to survive. Okay, what's this? E5 is hanging. Okay, I can't take on B2. How do I get at you? I need the F5 square or the E4 square, neither one of which looks available.
No. Here, white is up material.
Black queen has no clue how to get in the game.
And knight G3 played, by the way, guys.
Yeah, he heard you for sure. I think the line that I was trying to get a line like this, actually. This was
this looks over, yeah?
Yeah, this was like the combination of these two pawns is it's overkill. That's why we do have to play knight G3. Now, I was playing H5 for the simple reason, like, if these rooks ever land on the these rooks ever land on the H file, when you play H5, you may just play rook H5, the buildup. So I played H5, but Maurice is basically saying black with this passive king side needs to put his eggs in the D5 basket and just hope for the best.
Is black up a pawn?
Yes.
Currently, yes.
I just want to make sure takes H5. I'm not giving away everybody when.
Yeah, when you do this.
H5 will
And
come
we've
later. I'm hoping H5 comes at a time when you have to, when you can't sack on
Understood.
H5. So D5.
Yeah. Understood. Okay, we've been looking at knight d5, and more or less we continued with rook takes d5. Had we just traded knights, this is like abysmal. I mean, this was just
horrible.
yeah, strategically, everything about this position just feels terrible, and Maxime will know this absolutely. A moment ago, by the way, when I played the move h5, my intention, and I never got to really play it, was to play king h7, in the words of Walter Brown, immediately.
But here I go knight d5. This is also horrible.
And are you going to take with the pawn?
No, with the queen.
With the queen, and so because the bishop, even though it's really, really cramped, it is alive.
Okay, but I'll take e5, and I think you'll cry.
If you take e5, you know I'm going to cry. That was not my...
That's, I mean, rook c3, something, whatever, right? I think it's just completely lost.
Well, because of this guy, yeah?
Yeah.
You can take and...
I can take, I can go bishop d4 first, I can...
Well, you can...
No, bishop d4 before taking on c7.
Yes, very nice, very nice. By the way, Bertie whispered in my ear that Dingler in has been on a 20-minute thing. Not
good for Anish fans.
Not the greatest follow-up to g5.
No.
That ultra zealous g5.
4 moves after allowing bishop take c5. He is deep in the tank, wondering what did he do? Where's the compensation? That position does not look good for him at all. As now, and he doesn't want to just be desperate. That's the precise kind of thing where Anish would say, keep going along these random fishy lines so I can refute what you're doing. Anish is the perfect person for that. If Anish doesn't believe you, like completely doesn't believe you, he's super confident and a great defender indeed. So Anish, as far as I'm concerned, has a draw in the pocket. Like no surprise. He's not going to just lose this game to some rolling attack, some great compensation that Black is proving for this extra pawn. He's got a draw in the pocket right now, and he's starting to think, draw? What draw? I might be able to win this one. Up a pawn, up on time, 20 minutes left, not severe, but with a lot of moves to go, 18 moves, and you're the one who's down the pawn and trying to prove something. This is there's some really good trending right now for the Dutch player.
Absolutely. By the way, for Dingler in, this is, again, one of those kind of bad misfires that he's been doing in the tournament. At certain moments in this event, Dingler in has played brilliant chess. I mean, the type of chess that propelled him to being the #3 player in the world. But other times, it's like, it's been backfiring. And this looks like a really clear case of the latter backfiring. I don't see a decent move at the moment. We've been looking at knight f6, but we keep coming up empty-handed after bishop e7.
It's really surprising. We said Dingler in is a great player from China. He's been over 2,800. He's slipping back now. He's shown himself to be an incredible chess genius. But I was thinking last year that he had a bad result in the first half of the tournament. Definitely a bad result. But you could come back the next year and say, but it's a whole year later. Why should I even be thinking about having a bad result when I was off form then? It looks like you can put the two tournaments side by side as though it's a simple natural continuation of last year, as though he had picked it up the very next day. A year passed, somehow nothing happened, and he's still the same player playing with uncertainty, not playing as accurately. That win he had, that big position against Maxime that he didn't win. That seems like he was in the middle of the slump from last year, but it was a year later. It's so interesting that the psychology should remain for the event, as though he's kept the burden and the emotional, I guess it is the emotional burden from last year, and it's carried over into this event. I've got no chance. Why should I care? I'm going to continue to play without any motivation, real motivation. If I win, I win. So what? You know.
But if you see the press conferences of Ding Liren in this tournament, that's basically the attitude you get from him, right? I have too few points. What doesn't really matter? I'm going to show up and I'm going to play some chess, but let's face it, I'm on -2 to start the event. There's no real chance. And it's a tough tournament, but it's not the same approach that everybody else would take, right? Fabi gets a year of prep, says, oh, I'm going to get MVL round 1. If I win that one, I'm back in the mix. Anish is the same thing. He wins one game, he's back in the mix. Grishuk, the same thing. One win, back in the mix. Of course, he lost, so he was relegated. But you go into that tournament with that understanding. Alexenko, he was the lowest rated player, so he says, well, let me make the most of my chances. But Ding Liren, almost 2,800, only one result to play for, which is first. It's impossible. It's hard to get into that mindset of let's try our very hardest and let's go +7 and win this tournament. I mean, he's a very practical chess player, and I think he's a very realistic guy. And his press conference has kind of shown he didn't really come here to score +7.
Well, never mind +7. Just winning a game where he was +7 on the board against MDL would have been at least something to right the ship, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So a little depressive reactions there by Ding Liren. In any case, 20 minutes and counting, guys. I think it's even closer to 25 as we've been speaking. Ding Liren has not moved. And really a very, very bad sign for him. But I mean, Anish must, with each minute passing, be feeling like, man, this is great.
Stock is rising.
Great. Wow. Just to mention the obvious, if he were to win this game, and thanks to Fabi having made a draw, he'd jump to only a half a point behind our tournament leader, Nepo.
And defeating Ding Liren, okay, Ding's not playing well, but still psychologically you feel like it's Ding Liren. It's not Kirill Alexenko, no disrespect to the young Russian, but we're talking about beating one of the top 5 players on the planet, now number 4 after Nepo's win yesterday. Nepo is now the number 3 player in the world. Anish would be trending really high in 4 rounds at that too. 4 rounds +2. We'd be saying Anish is the one playing the best chess in the tournament. That's what we'd be saying, right?
It's still only a clear advantage. It's just a pawn. We've seen worse things in the candidates. Let's not sell it like Ding Liren is losing or anything. His position looks bad. I don't like his time usage, but it's still a bit of a mess. And I'm sure that he'll try to create some chances. Different than what I see in Maxim's game. The more I see that game, the more I analyze that game, the uglier it gets. B6 played finally by Ding Liren after a very long think, a move we didn't even consider. That's gonna blow up some things because I don't think you can go bishop e3. But this one really does look bad.
B6?
B6 he played.
Ooh.
I guess the idea is that if you go bishop e3, knight f6 is now playable. Or maybe maybe h6 and g3, and you don't have queen e3, although you have queen pretty much anywhere else.
B6. By the way, when we make faces like I've just done, it's because we were trained on these Steinitzian ideas. The first world champion, Wilhelm Steinitz, really rebuked players who voluntarily weakened their king's position. The move b6 means you never get to take the move back, and you've purposefully weakened a6.
D4 is the first move I look at.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how big a threat taking on c5 might be. And d4.
In which case, even knight e4 might be a response to your move, to the move, right? Even. Well, I'm not saying that's what you should do, but even that might show up in your brain as that b file looks kind of curious. But let's start with d4, the most direct attempt at a refutation.
I'm probably
King b7, knight a5. I mean, check. Unless you got to reply to that, I don't see what you do after knight a5.
No, that's curtains, right?
That looks
wow. You just walked right into a
queen a6 is coming.
A crushing sacrifice. Not much of a sacrifice, I must say.
So what really happens then after d4? You're not going to play b5.
Maybe just go knight. No, I don't even want to say it, but knight b8. And you say your bishop's trapped.
My bishop is trapped. I was giving up that bishop anyway.
That's okay. I'll take it. I mean, I'm messing. Black's got to have something here, right? If you don't have material.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. He's looking to mix it up and knight b8. Seriously, I'm with you 100%, Alejandro. I know what you mean. Alternatives lose, so
I almost want to play
Mm-hmm.
knight a5 anyway. Just how
like,
psycho
please
is
take
this
something,
move?
right?
Yeah.
Well,
But I don't like sacrificing the knight.
You don't like sacrificing the knight.
I like the knight as
You
an
want to
attacking
take it.
piece. Whereas the bishop I didn't think was as strong of an attacking piece.
Mm-hmm.
No, but knight a5 I'll take on a5, and I'm not really sure if I should be that worried. I'm worried, don't get me wrong, but am I that worried?
No, I mean, my next move is obvious. So
Right.
what
But
is
the problem
defense?
is rook b8, your obvious killer blow. You can't follow it up with rook b1.
I wasn't planning to. I was just planning to take on a6. Go ahead, take.
What?
Check. And queen a6.
And queen a6. I got
Yeah,
you.
this looks bad. I think I have to run. I think I take with the bishop.
Okay.
Yep.
Queen a6.
Not that I was in love with the move e takes d4. It did seem like
I understand.
a tempo, but I do want to see the threats, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta
that's-
see
that's
what's
the
gonna
whole
happen.
idea.
Queen a6, king d7, and I'm still not really sure where the killing blow is. Bishop c7. Queen
Rook
e5 is a
d1.
tempo. I think queen e5 would have been a nice
d1.
tempo.
Uh-huh.
Queen e5. It looks like a very good tempo. Oh, geez. I hate that. I hit the wrong key. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so
Queen
king d7 on let's stay right here. What about rook d1 or rook
Well, we got a bishop hanging,
Yeah.
right? So that was
Yeah.
why I was trying to get the bishop. Okay, take a pawn.
Whoa, Anisha said, this bishop? What bishop? 94 on the board. We
There
did
you go.
consider that move.
Yes, we did.
We
As I
did
said,
consider that move.
If d4 wasn't an alternative, do you really have to? And there it is on the board.
By the way, that puts paid to the idea of h6 and g3, right? I mean, Anish was ready to play
Great idea, Alejandro.
whether it was encouraged or not. that knight was landing on e4. I assume he's saying pretty much what you've been saying, Alejandro. Not impressed by the bishop. Go ahead and take the bishop if you want, and I will just recapture.
I'm not actually sure if you recapture, honestly. I think you might start with d4.
Sure. d4 all day. I mean, this is the move we wanted to play.
The only
And-
issue would be if I can play c4, but I don't think you can take on e4 after that. For example, I'm looking at the line c4, queen takes c4, queen takes e4, queen takes a6, king b8, and I think knight c5 is just deadly. I don't see a defense.
There's no thing.
Looks it looks
This is
terrible. Knight takes c5, b takes c5. That rook covering the b7. That looks like curtains. So this looks delish, Maurice.
Of course. No, we had said if not d4, then knight e4 was even worthy of thought because we weren't sure that bc5 was actually a threat. And so you could improve your position. And this move, knight e4, played quickly. It's a whole piece. And I don't think he anticipated b6, by the way. I don't think Anish thought b6 was a move. He was no doubt looking around, wondering what was going on. And then when he saw b6, he said, "What?" And look at this. A capture has occurred on c5.
Yes.
It is
What
on
else
the
are you gonna
board.
do?
And we
It is
are in
On.
we are in crazy land.
So hold on. Did you guys? I like bc5. Alejandro, you were trying to kill me with d4, and I erred with some bad move. I played c4 and got killed.
It's not necessarily a bad move, right? It does have the advantage that if I give up the pawn and then play knight b8, I can keep the b file closed, and I'm winning a tempo against the e4 knight, which is then undefended. So there is a lot to be said to take on c5 first and reserve the move d4 for later. That way I guarantee to open the b file. So honestly, I like bc5 a little bit more intuitively.
You're warming up to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The question is, what here, right? What now?
I'm I'm getting ready to put on my walking shoes. I'm going to exit with King D7. By the way, from Ding's point of view, he was material down a moment ago with some maybe nebulous compensation. Now he's in the thick of it, but he is at least something in his pocket that he can play for material.
Oh man, we could analyze this? Do me a favor and go back to this D4 move. Sorry,
D4.
Yes. And we said C4. I wasn't sure I wanted to even take that pawn. I wanted your knight more than anything else because that knight is in the way. But maybe, well, what are you going to do here?
I was probably just going to play knight B8. It's not that I just don't want to see a queen landing on A6. I don't.
And BC5 played quickly by Anish, so he agrees with our instincts. I don't know if our analysis, but B takes C5 already played. D4 coming up next move. Knight A5, I think, is also a threat in this position. So
Knight A5. Oof.
Guys, this one is building, but the other one is exploding. Maxime did play D5 after Knight G3, and instant capture by Grischuk. And as we said, one of the best bad time situation players in the world is Grischuk, but maybe it wouldn't even matter how much time you had on the clock. You'd say, just give me your pawn, show me what you think you have, because I am doing all this for no material whatsoever. Right now, it's even material, and black position, in the words of professional analysis, still sucks. I mean,
it still sucks.
I mean, what are you doing?
I mean, what a time to play D5 when this knight tension still exists. I mean, my first instinct is like, what are you doing? I can take on H5 and completely destroy your kingside pawn structure.
I think it's D4, not DE4.
You think after knight takes H5, it's D4? Wow.
I think.
In the words of Ben Larson.
No one believes.
I gotta believe it's mate over there, but okay, D4 it's
the only idea. Everything D4 Queen E1.
Everything is.
That's what I was thinking. But okay, but I like what you were saying too, Maurice. I mean, hey, look, man, I'm not even material down, and I got all the pluses I had last turn as well. Let me take this pawn.
As long as you don't, this is the kind of position where you start looking for wins as white, right?
Yes.
To move and win. This to move. But you can also look at it as I am actually winning. I don't have to look for wins. This is just going to play itself.
Yeah.
I'm just going to beat you. You can wriggle around all you want to and try to be as slippery as ever. Until I see something really confusing like Alejandro's last move, D4, where you start going, wait, that's not clean. I got to calculate. I got to look. No, until I see something like that, I'm playing the straightforward moves. And that's what he just did. He said, straightforward, I take on D5 instead of this mess that we're looking at with D4. Let me just take on D5. What are you doing exactly? Are you going to start sacking pieces? You're just going to fall apart of its own weight. So
what happens if I take and go H5?
Exactly.
This is my question.
This is the position that we got some time ago. And by the way, the times of the players, 13 minutes, 27 versus 27 minutes. So Sasha, as usual, has half the time of his opponent. And, well, double-edged, well, not double-edged, difficult position for Maxime.
I was trying to analyze the move Queen F6. I mean, it's incredibly greedy, but this pawn on F6 is such a thorn.
True.
But it might just lose to knight E4.
Wouldn't surprise anybody that would be the case, right?
Yeah,
this is hard to believe. Wild, exciting position.
Guys,
blood is going to be spilled.
We got to take a small commercial break, and we will be back with the action before time trouble hits. So go somewhere for a couple of minutes, but we'll be back. This games are heating up. Don't miss the action. Jan Nepomniachtchi still the leader, a full point ahead of Fabiano Caruana. We'll be right back.
That's our show. Now go plan yours at visitmo.com.
Welcome to the chess capital of the United States. The St. Louis Chess Campus, in the heart of the vibrant Central West End, has established itself as a premier global destination for chess and is comprised of 2 unique nonprofit institutions. The Chess Club and Scholastic Center of St. Louis is recognized as the top chess facility in the world and plays host to all major tournaments, including the U.S. Chess Championships and the Sinkfield Cup, one of the strongest chess tournaments globally. Tournaments are broadcast online to more than 150 countries, led by an expert commentary team of grandmasters. The Chess Club is an educational organization committed to promoting the game of chess, with a specific focus on bringing the benefits of chess to children throughout the St. Louis area. Research shows children who play chess exhibit improved analytical skills and increased confidence. The Chess Club is highly engaged with the local community, bringing scholastic chess programs to more than 100 schools, providing hundreds of classes each week. Directly across the street from the Chess Club is the World Chess Hall of Fame. This one-of-a-kind cultural institution invites visitors to experience chess in imaginative ways and is home to the U.S. and World Chess Halls of Fame. Cutting-edge exhibitions feature rare, historic chess artifacts paired with world-class art. Innovative programming explores the intersection of chess, art, and culture. Visitors can enjoy interactive programs designed around the exhibitions and monthly music in the galleries. The World Chess Hall of Fame is nothing you expect and everything you love. 3 different galleries and a premier gift shop highlight the culture, history, and creativity behind the game. Come visit, play chess, leave enriched. To learn more about the St. Louis Chess Campus, visit stlchesscampus.org.
Professional golf returns to St. Louis in 2021. The Ascension Charity Classic, presented by Emerson. Stars like Phil Mickelson, Ernie Els, Jim Furyk, and more compete at Norwood Hills Country Club, September 6th through the 12th. Tickets, clubhouse passes, hospitality suites, and Pro-Am foursomes are on sale now. All proceeds go to North St. Louis County Charities. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com or call 314-938-2828. PGA Tour Golf is back in the Lou. The Ascension Charity Classic.
Welcome back. Let's not waste any time. Let's go straight into the Anish Giri game against Ding Liren with a crucial one for the standings. If Anish wins with the white pieces, he will be only half a point away from Jan Nepomniachtchi, the current leader. And what's going on? B takes c5. We left it off at this position. Ding Liren answered with the move knight f6, challenging the knight on e4. And instantly, Giri said, boom, knight d6 check. He thought for 30 seconds about this move. And what is going on, guys?
Impressive move.
It looks like a great attacking variation for Anish. After takes, this knight is coming to c5. This queen could come over and join an attack down an open b file. And it looks like Ding Liren is just going down. I mean, I just don't see a continuation for him.
Don't forget about d4. What about d4 as well?
D4
threatens to take on e5 and fork pieces. So we got more. This move d4 opens up lines and threatens a6, threatens to take on e5 with the pawn, or maybe even with the queen, in fact. And you're talking at the moment he's up a pawn is white for the piece. If he wins the piece back, Ding Liren is dead.
I think at the grandmaster level, you don't even calculate this position. You don't spend a second calculating. You just instinctively know this king doesn't survive.
Exactly. I agree with you, Maurice, that I guess it's just style, right? You play d4 to bring the queen. I saw knight c5 myself, followed by, I don't know, just abusing the.
I like your style, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty good.
So too.
All roads lead to Rome in this one, I think.
Yeah, this looks really, really good. And for Anish, wow. I mean, after the first half, nobody mentioned this young man, but when you think about how well he played in Vaikonze, you mentioned already, Maurice, in previous video broadcast that, well, he won the Magnus Carlsen event, the eponymous event of Magnus on the Magnus Carlsen tour. Anish coming in with great confidence, and by
Absolutely,
the way,
and playing, as you said, rapidly. He won a rapid event, and now he's playing rapidly with confidence in this one. We've seen the move. The capture was made, and it's knight c5. It's d4. There are two choices. Looks like you can't go wrong with either one. And Ding Loren down to 6 minutes.
Ouch.
Dougie Fresh, you're on 6 minutes, and you have as many as 14 moves to make. 14 moves to make in this position. Now, seriously, if I had a king like that, could I have 44 moves? 44 minutes,
44 minutes.
44 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't want to have 6 minutes. Matter of fact, I don't even want the stinky position. I just don't want to even look at it. Look at Black's pieces. Black has that extra bishop on h5, but is it in the game, right? You might say,
you have an extra bishop.
Yeah, exactly, right? You don't even feel it. White's pieces are all poised. The issue is, of course, if you try to calculate this one to mate, you may not be able to figure that out. As you said, Alejandro, I think that's the biggest point. A strong player looks at this position and says, why do I need to calculate it to mate? His king is royally exposed, horribly so. I have all the moves poised. My rook on b1 is a monster piece. My knight is getting to c5. I'm getting moves like d4, and you can't even stop my queen's incursion. If I can't beat you, or at least prove heavy compensation here, I don't deserve to try to win the world championship, try to challenge Magnus Carlsen. This is money in the bank, no need to calculate. And how right he is, Anish Giri showing some power chess. 2 wins out of the first 4, guys. If he does that, 3 rounds to go, Nepo does not feel comfortable at all.
Nope.
No, I mean, that 1 point lead just shrank in half. And I mean, what can I say? Anish Giri won a game that Magnus Carlsen himself said was a very, very good game against Wang Hao. To beat, China's #1 in this kind of fashion, that will feel really, really good. And again, it comes down to a stylistic choice here: d4 or knight c5. Tell me what would guide your considerations, Alejandro. You're a chess coach. I mean, for the St. Louis University, what do you tell your players when they have such a position as white?
I think, first of all, get to this position.
Yes.
That'll be the first thing.
Achieve the winning position. Step 2.
Step 2, I think, when you have such a choice in your games, right? You have knight c5 or d4. You try to play, or at least calculate first, the one that creates the most threats. And I think knight c5 creates pretty immediate threats, but less so than d4, because rook b8 I don't think is checkmate.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not actually checkmate, if you just make a random move, you go queen b2, king c7, queen b7, and I don't see the checkmate here, right?
Right.
So if that's not an immediate threat, I think d4 just comes with more threats. You attack a6 and you attack e5, as Maurice mentioned it. So this allows me a little bit more flexibility. It would be what I would focus my attention on first. And that's how I would approach it. Knight c5, I don't see any immediate problem, but I think I would be slightly concerned about maybe knight d7. And
that's the move I would be worried about. Does knight d7,
right?
Since queen b2 doesn't mate here, the king runs to e6, and there's a long chase, but it does look like the king is slipping out again. You could take on h8 in the line.
And d4 played by Anish, agreeing with us basically, right? That there's a lot of threats in the position. Let's just make even more. See if it collapses eventually. I'm having trouble finding a move for Black.
That's the issue. That's the issue. And you know what? You know what's great about this move too is that it's almost like you have to cover so many threats as Black,
right?
That you almost feel helpless. Like,
Yeah.
I've got to deal with a6. I got to deal with e5. I got to deal with knight c5. I got to deal with potential queen b2. There's so many, even queen e5, by the way. Queen e5,
Queen
hitting the
E5.
queen, because if you take, then pawn takes, and suddenly you're just
you
down
lose
material with all
That
the,
game's lost.
that endgame's just lost.
Yeah.
So there's every single threat. He just played this move, and it's like every single threat now accelerated in the position. This was terrible. And Anish, how many moves since the move, the pawn sack with f5? We're going back to that critical moment on move 18. I'll say it again. When he played bishop takes c5, he said, show me. I see that you're attacking, but it's not so easy to knock out gangster level players at this level. All right. It's not so easy. And then you made it just a few moves. And a few moves later was, oh, you're not doing well at all. And now I don't believe you anymore. And now I'm going to kill you. And it hasn't even been 10 moves, guys. It hasn't even been 10 moves since that demonstration. It feels like it's been 15 moves, but it hasn't even been 10 moves since that F5 demonstration by Ding Liren. And it's a nightmare on the chessboard.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, and for Ding Liren, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just been a bad tournament, you know, getting worse and worse. I mean, he came in with such high hopes to this competition 1 year ago as the world's #3 and playing scintillating chess. Halfway point, he was languishing in the last place, and this position is just no. I mean, by the way, Ding Liren himself is a fantastic attacking player. He knows he's in desperate straits and 4 minutes on the clock. This looks terrible. Let me just get a quick gander of Grishuk. Grishuk is played. By the way, I just want to go back to one point. Could you guys just clear the cobwebs? I was just having this moment where I'm on the fritz here. It was, did Maxine have a chance for rook c3? I didn't really, the idea was that if you go queen takes, knight takes, I was going to end up, you know, like in a situation where I could trade, right? Which is what black wants. This would have been a dream. In any case,
if I go queen e1 instead of queen d2?
Sorry.
You took on d5, right?
Yes.
Queen f, or actually maybe even more precise, so you don't have to hit me anywhere. Queen f3.
Queen f3. Okay. And yeah, it's okay.
Doesn't feel
I'm sorry,
like it,
guys.
right?
We've got to get back to the other game. We've got to get back to the other game. C5 was played. It's just we've it's like my eyes are expanding on every move. I'm getting bigger and bigger like saucers watching this. And, oh, man, could you imagine having a position like this against Ding Liren? Look at his king, the last pawn shield. He had 4 pawns once upon a time guarding that king. There were 4 of them over there, including the double pawn on c5. There's now going to be only 1. And then there was 1 remaining. And, man, what's wrong with knight takes on c5, and that rook b8 threat is still not mate. He has taken on c5. How do you survive this? Queen b2 is coming.
I don't
think
see a move.
He has yet. He did. Oh,
he did.
Sorry.
Knight c5 is on the board, and what's the point? Like, how can you move any chess pieces? This is resigned.
This rook is frozen. I guess there's only knight d7 if you knight
d7 loses to more than one thing. I think like queen c4 looks extremely deadly. You open the c file is just open, right? I'm just going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, you're right, Alejandro. I mean, here it's the one thing I was trying for with knight d7 was to do something. Even here, no. Even here, I'm.
By the way, after your own heart, Yaz.
Yep.
After knight d7, doesn't even knight a6 work?
I was hoping to run. If you take knight a6 to start going king d8.
Oh my god, run where?
I don't know, but I'm running. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Away from the rooks. King
you
d8.
Want to play king d8, allowing something like rook e1 or rook b5 or queen
rook e1 and rook b5. They're not immediately killing me, right? This is the best. This is the best I can hope from this position.
But knight c5 is coming. Knight c5
I understand it's losing. You probably can skin this.
There's no way.
However you want to do it, right?
There's no way.
Yeah, I'm just trying to survive a couple moves.
I'm a pawn grabber, but that a6 pawn is not that delish. I don't
I'm not saying it's the best move. What I'm saying is they all must win.
C4.
Yeah, I agree.
Queen
Rook E8 played by Ding Liren. And
asking the salient question, what
Queen
am I going
B2,
to do
right?
after Queen B2? I mean, I am
okay, there's only one move that doesn't get mated. It's Knight D7.
Pardon me.
Because if you go King D8, at the very least, Knight B7 is. I think it's just made, but
that's good enough for me too.
Yeah.
Knight D7. Okay. And I've got to
and the prayer.
Light the candles.
I don't see the mate, but there must be there somewhere, right? This has to be over. Here,
it's not completely dead.
No, here I'm still
kicking. I need something cleaner, guys.
Well, another move, guys, is Queen C4.
Instead of Queen B2?
The one Alejandro was pining for. The Queen C4 threatens discover checks, whether they be Knight E4 or Knight E7.
There's no way you survive.
No, this is just resigns. Yeah. Queen C4 is resigns. Knight B7 is coming next
Your
move.
bishop is on H5 again. I keep pointing to this piece saying, I'm down a bishop for 2 pawns. Now that we've gotten the number count out the way, who cares about your stinking bishop? Your king is horrible. Your A6 pawn will drop. Anything lands on B7. We could double on the B line if we need to. This is so sad. I can't even watch it. This is
what's the continuation after Rook C6?
I think you can move. He has played Queen C4 on the board. Can't you sidestep with your queen and threaten all the same goodies? Like,
it's just such an awkward position for black. You can't even defend this rook on C6.
I know. My first impression was for Queen A4, but remember a moment ago when your rook was on D6 defending the knight, maybe now bringing the queen to the battery, because the rook
is hanging.
Is hanging, and it's like, oh no, why did I put my rook on C6? I don't like
you're right.
myself.
Queen B8 is mate. Like,
yes.
That's just no. This is over. He could resign now. He's got 2:56 left on his clock. This is maybe one of the worst games I've ever seen Ding Liren play, frankly. But also kudos to Anish for going into this line after his opponent decided to start playing sacrificial attacks. And I told you, when Anish is confident that it's not actually death, he comes from the Korchnoi school, the Petrosian school. Those guys are like,
by the way, we do have a result, guys. We do have a result. Ding Liren has tossed in the towel officially.
Indeed. It's over. What a smash.
And we got to, after the move, it was Queen C4, and I've seen enough.
11 moves after his F5 sacrifice, and he had to resign, fully refuted, fully disgusted as Ding Liren. But Anish now only a half a point behind Ding Liren. Wow. Behind Nepo. Keep the champagne still on ice, because Nepo is not. I guess it's the vodka. The Russians are. Wait! We can't celebrate, guys. Anish Giri has shown up, and the young man showing his skills. And wow, what 2 marvelous victories against the Chinese contingency by Anish Giri. He's got, this tournament is still buzzing, guys. This incredible situation.
By the way, in the game between Grishuk and MVL, Grishuk said, I don't want your stinking pawn. Go ahead and have a protected past H pawn after the move H5. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to telegraph my moves. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm sacrificing a rook on H5, and I'm mating you on H8. Wow. That's pretty straightforward, wouldn't you say?
We're not hearing Alejandro, or at least I'm not.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with Alejandro's mic as well.
But yeah, that's a
that puts the question to you. I mean, even if you play a move like rook down, I say, no, I'm still threatening mate. I'm still threatening mate. I guess the question is queen here, because in this case, okay, if I take, oops, I don't have the backup I need to play queen h8. So I'm guessing after queen d6, the simplest answer is king here.
That's king. That's good defense right there. So queen d6, even actually threaten. Is it a threat to play rook? It is a threat to play rook d1. So can he play king h2? King a2.
King yes.
That's nasty.
To sidestep it, but then he's got to play rook d1 anyway. He's going to have to give up. Oh, excuse me. I cannot take the e5 pawn with my bishop because of the nasty queen a3 mate. Ah, he's back. Hi, Alejandro.
Good.
Not sure we're hearing Alejandro as yet, as his audio gets fixed. But you're right. Rook d1 is the only defense. And,
the only defense.
It's still that H pawn on the board.
What am I doing this right? Because this just doesn't feel right. So let me try it again. Queen there, bishop here.
Rook d1 at all costs. Got to trade off a pair of rooks.
At all costs.
Got to trade off a pair of rooks. And you got that pass H pawn, which he didn't take when H5 landed on the board. He ignored it a long time ago. And is this some sliver of a chance for black to maybe fight
away?
This interesting, because he dominates the D file, which is important, so that white's rook doesn't.
Queen D6. That is
yes,
on
indeed.
the board. Wow.
This is going to be an amazing turnaround. Absolutely amazing turnaround. How does Maxime ever survive these positions? It's unbelievable.
I know. The Najdorf flares, what he survived against Fabi was remarkable.
What he forgot surviving. He didn't survive against Fabi. He lost in the end. But the way he handled the opening.
But the way he scrapped and ground his way to a table-based draw was something that we just had to applaud. I mean, that was just amazing.
And he survived Ding Liren.
And this game, I mean,
and this,
like we had already chalked him up. I mean, that out. Okay,
his
one more look.
Black are being tested severely.
How about king up, rook down? I'm trying to preserve
rook
my
back.
rook.
Rook back to d2.
Rook back to. Gee, I miscounted the number of defenders. Rook back to d2, of course.
Hello.
Oh!
Hey,
Is it possible
Alejandro.
instead? I've got one. Yes. What about bishop c1?
Okay. Rook to d1 is the problem.
I almost lost the game. I'm gonna play
you wanted to play here? Yeah. Like,
okay. I lose the game, Maurice. Ready to go. Queen a3 is crushing.
Yeah. Alejandro, if you're back with us, we've just seen this very crucial move, queen to d6.
Well, we have an answer. Queen d6 answered by Grishuk with king a2. I think it was similar to your idea, Maurice, of sidestepping this checks. Maybe rook d1, you go rook 1 h2, but does that really work? Because you still have rook d2, right?
Yeah, we've been looking at this. We don't see how this works.
I know, it's remarkable.
What if you take on h5, by the way?
Okay, what moment? King
rook
h2?
d1, rook h5. What is the defense there? And I move my rook somewhere, like h3.
Oh,
no, h3.
H3. You don't want to step on the h5 square. Got it.
Right.
So this is what it's all about, and mate on the h7 and h8 squares.
Can you stop it?
I'm having a hard time.
You can play queen e6, but I think that's just lost, right? Those two rooks are not nearly good enough.
No, but okay. Which rook h2 walks into rook d2. So that was why
a big difference,
maybe
right?
Rook h4.
Rook d1 played. Maybe rook h4. No, but then Maybe then rook d4.
And then bishop
but
takes,
that doesn't
and
help
then you've
me,
got
right?
queen a3 check. Yes, you're right. So rook h3, I think I like this move. I was just trying to find another alternative square, but rook h3, and here it is.
And here it is. Rook h5 played. gh5.
Oh, wow.
Let's see what Grishuk plays. Rook takes h5 is also not something I was completely sure if it works as well, because queen h2 and queen e4 ideas. But rook h3, is that just win?
Maybe it just wins. Takes on h5, rook
Defense.
h3. I'm having a real hard time coming up with anything but queen e6 and queen takes h3, by the way.
That has to
It's
be
very
lost.
bad, very bad. I'm not joyful at all. No.
Man, we're seeing some amazing games this round.
Oh,
Wow.
what a round. I mean, even the Wang
Seriously.
Hao game is not boring, but this is just, the other two games are so amazing.
And important as
Exactly.
well. And
Yes.
important.
Yes.
If MVL goes down here, he's gone. He's out of the tournament completely.
Okay,
He
rook
needs
h3
to
is
stay
important.
alive.
So
And for
how do you stay
Grishuk,
alive here? Is this just winning?
Yeah.
I was looking
for
at rook
Grishuk,
a1 myself.
Rook a1, what a move. Wait, what does that do though? If I take with the bishop?
Well, I was trying to deflect your bishop from the a3 square to see whether or not I could somehow do some stuff. He's instead played the move rook to d4. This bishop that I was after.
No, he
and
took on h5.
Oh, he didn't
just
play
took?
rook h3. He didn't play rook h3. He played rook takes h5.
And instantly,
and rook
Maxime, what a
d4.
monster. Rook d4.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
What?
So you can take on a4.
Oh man.
What?
Queen h2, rook a4. What a resource.
Incredible turnaround now.
What a resource.
Stunning. Rook, he thought this was just going to win. He saw a straightforward play.
Rook
And now
A4.
rook to d4.
D4.
This
What
guy is
disrespect
so slippery. It's unbelievable.
Oh my.
So his idea is that if I take the bishop, take the rook, pardon me, then you don't have time to play queen h2 because there's a mate on the back rank. But is it? You can slide away with a perpet. Oh,
I'll slide.
oh,
please,
oh,
please
oh.
let me slide.
Okay,
Rook
and
d4.
then-
What a move to miss. That's
Wait a
fantastic.
minute.
What a move to find.
Queen h2,
Rook
rook
A4.
a4. Now
Gotta
here
take.
I don't.
No, you can't do
because
that.
there's a rook a1 at the end that hurts my feelings. So I
Show it,
take.
show it. Yeah. No, show the line. Show the line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually checkmate on d1.
It's mate.
right?
It's going to be mate. Yeah.
Just before I can mate you, you get
How do you
That
feel?
made it amazing.
Look at you now.
amazing.
And so he has to take.
Yes.
Then you go queen e6. No, I don't think queen d5 works, by the way, because queen d5, king b1, queen d1, bishop c1. So you have to go to e6.
Well, you need your rook in the game anyway.
You
so
need your
this is
rook in the
perfect.
game, right? Because this just loses. You need to play queen e6.
Oh, but it just works because rook d1 follows and then queen b6 follows. So what's the
Queen
problem?
e6, king b1 only move, rook d1,
Rook d1, bishop c1,
bishop c1, queen
queen-
b6, king a2, and it's just a draw, right?
and it's
Yep.
done. Yeah. You can't
I
get
don't
out.
think you're
What?
winning with black.
What a save! Rook
Fantastic.
d4. Are you kidding me? And for Sasha Grishuk, he must be thinking,
Kicking himself.
"Oh my
Totally
word.
kicking himself. He lined up a sacrifice on h5 so that he could take on h5, not to play
course
subtly
he
with
did.
rook h3. He sacrificed it because I'm going to keep going. And now this movie overlooked a one square that needed covering. The king on a2. Yes, you got out of the check on d1, but you allowed the check on a4. Who knew that was possible with bringing the rook to d4? That's amazing.
What a
guys.
move.
Guys, can
I mean, what a move, rook d4.
Can I suggest rook h1 with the idea that after rook d1, now I've just simply eliminated this pawn.
I don't understand. Rook
and rook A2,
h1 when
but
the
rook-
rook is on d4? This position?
So this position, I'm suggesting rook h1 for
But your rook's
Sasha.
hanging, right? Rook a4 check?
No, but rook a4, he wants to go king b1.
And I wanted to go king b1. And now that your rook is on a4, not bothering me down here.
Although, I don't know if I want to, but I could play rook h4 in like worst case scenario.
For a worst case scenario, it's probably
as in now.
Yeah.
It's actually not so bad because g5 hangs at the end.
No. Oh, Sasha. And, one of the most difficult
Guys, he's
things
down to a
in
minute.
chess is to reorient yourself when your opponent has played the superstar move like rook d4, and you were just ready to reach out your hand and accept your opponent's resignation. Now he's got to reorient himself, and he's down to 40 seconds.
With 9 moves to go.
Oh my!
I think he might just take the
draw. Or is
draw.
it 8? But he's disgusted. He can't believe it.
MVL has more lives than a cat. I mean, that's just
unreal.
amazing.
What a resourceful guy.
Rook
h1 played, guys. Rook h1 played.
Yeah.
We expect rook a4, rook h4, right? I didn't see another move.
Remarkable. I didn't see rook h4. I was really happy that I had lured your rook away from the d file so that I could play queen h5 or queen h2. But this, and by the way, after rook takes a4, I don't capture the rook because that geometry, that's hurtful. So that was why I was going to play king b1. And then, Alejandro, how do you see a move like your rook's on a4? It goes flying across the board completely to the other side.
Necessity, absolute necessity. There's no other way to defend the h file. So you find
Amazing.
it.
Amazing. And there's nothing I can do. And you were about to say that in the end, the G pawn would be hanging. I'm assuming you're talking about something of this nature.
Right. Like, how do I evaluate this endgame? I go king G, like rook G1. It's probably.
I mean, this pawn is powerful. It's annoying,
but is it enough?
Feels closer to a draw. I mean, probably I'd rather be white, but wait a minute. I mean, man, for MVL, he was so dead. I mean,
amazing.
Wow,
just amazing.
Scrappy player.
Does he have any alternatives? Because we threw in rook h4 kind of fast, but I didn't know if there were other defenses by that point. There might not be.
Yeah, I don't see him. I mean, I just like this threat has got my attention.
Well, I mean, the queen versus the 2 rook endgame is very different with that a pawn off the board. So it may be something worth exploring. Just take a look at.
How do you
queen c6?
Oh, you mean like something like
queen
this?
b5.
Yeah. Okay. You just hit the rook, and you get
because the a file opens. Yeah, something like that. The a file opens with a4, and rook d1 is always a threat. So it's not like the rooks have nothing to do. They suddenly are working, and I don't know that this is lost actually, with a4 coming on the next move.
But somehow I prefer the rook and bishop endgame over this.
Safer, to be sure. Yeah. But you were asking me if there was any alternative.
Yeah, this might be an alternative.
To me, like, now there are two ways you can choose from as black, when once upon a time it was, which coffin do you like?
Right.
Yeah. I just measuring your length, your width.
Like, let us know. Or do you prefer to be cremated? Right.
Right.
Like, this was your question before, and now you're actually thinking possible defenses. Excuse me, my will is written out, but I'm not going to use it just yet. This is amazing that this has even occurred, guys. Incredible defense. Missing the rook h3 shot will be huge for Grischuk. And I like that Maxim is spending some time right now as well. Grischuk is sitting there stewing inside. He's got to be thinking, this is some nonsense just happened. I had the victory. Right. You're shaking your head. And it's like, what? He's alive?
There are these other factors, these X factors in chess that distinguish these grandmasters. I mean, they're all technically so proficient, their openings and so on and so on. But nerves, nerves are crucial. And then I've always had that difficulty when I get hit, my face turns red and getting, back to reality, reoriented, it's usually taken me several minutes. People like Sasha, he's this time trouble kind of guy, and he snaps back, right? But MVL, his ability to find some of these moves, I mean, his tenacity is amazing.
Tenacious Frenchman, amazing to calculate himself out of trouble.
Oh.
You can see how many times they've appeared in the candidates. Alexander Grischuk, what a veteran.
Yes.
5 appearances in the candidates. Some of them pretty deep runs, right? Did he lose against Gelfen in the finals?
That's right. And
Right.
the run that Boris Gelfen had to become challenger, he had to get past Grischuk.
In the finals of that candidates back when it was still a knockout. Fabiano Caruana with 3, being the second most experienced. This is his 3rd appearance. Ding Liren, Anish Giri with 2 each, both playing in the previous one. And a bunch of newcomers. Wang Hao, Jan Nepomniachtchi, Alexenko, but also MVL, which for a lot of people might be a bit surprising that this is his first candidate.
A big surprise that MVL had not appeared before.
It's tough qualifying to this tournament. You can think of so many names that are not in this event, and you would think, well, wait a second, that guy's pretty good, right?
Like Wesley So? I mean, how come Wesley not into this event? How's that possible? Yes,
although
I
Wesley
agree.
did participate in the last one, he just started atrociously and never was able to recover. Started with 2 losses in that event.
Rook A5, Rook A4, and King B1 on the board. And are we going to see Rook H4, or are we going to see a Queen D5/C6 move played?
Just
I don't know.
Getting ready to.
All my instincts would be to play Rook H4, but I wouldn't be able to articulate exactly why I prefer that endgame so much. I think it's because the king safety is just not as important, whereas when white still has a queen, maybe there's some things to be worried about with my king on G8.
Well, I think the critical question for me is, are you worried about losing, or are you thinking maybe there might be some chances?
See, I would still like to preserve my chances with black, but quite honestly, in both scenarios, I feel like black's still in the back foot trying to make a draw.
So let's take this position, for example, after the move A4. What do you feel about this? The capture on B3 will happen, and then potentially rooks might show up on the ranks, back rank, second rank attacks. Are you in so much danger here? You do have a passed E pawn as well. E4 could happen at some point. I really wouldn't even feel any danger if I had black right now.
I wasn't feeling the move bishop c1 as much. I think your pass pawn, you make a good point. It's important. And I think you have to play rook g4, because if you play the rook anywhere else, g6 might crush you.
Right.
So rook g4 is important.
Totally sensible.
But I think, and he's going to go for this endgame with the queens against the rooks. Different approach than I would have taken. But rook g4, bishop takes e5. I feel like, yeah, queen takes h1. Let's look at that position, because we're going right into it, guys.
Yes, we are.
Take on e5 in this position, and I just feel like white's better, no? Bishop takes e5, rook g5, queen b7. Isn't this like really nice for white?
What do you mean,
Just
queen
an
b7?
important point, because I do have a check, a series of checks.
You
if
know,
you think I'm hanging my bishop, no, grandmasters don't blunder, do we?
Keep telling them that, Yasser.
So don't take the bishop.
So this is the position. Hold on.
Yeah.
But I don't. Okay.
We do have rook g4 on the board, guys. So
Yeah, rook g4.
This is what I was thinking.
Can't reach this.
See,
And bishop e5 already on the board, so we're predicting this pretty well.
To me, if it's fine if you're better, but are there going to be any chances? That's the real question. Are there going to be any real chances? And if this is going to be complex, you showed me that you couldn't beat me when you were +6, right? Like, I was completely dead in the water. Am I so completely dead that I should be afraid in this position?
It's not dead, but you are definitely worse, in my opinion, as black. And to answer your question, can you complicate and create chances? No.
Well, I still want to. I must still wanted to play the move A4 here, but now you might take it.
Here, I'll just take it. Thank you for the pass pawn, right?
Here you might just.
Sorry, you guys wanted to take it. I apologize. I would just.
I don't quite agree with this approach by Maxime. I don't quite get it.
He's taken on G5. We're here.
We're here. We're expecting takes on
Queen
b7.
B7.
Now here the point is this rook on d8, right? So can I try to set up? No, I can't. Okay, well, I don't know. All right, let's start with the check.
Let's go to maybe A2. It seems a little bit safer.
Okay, let's
Nice trick.
let's go for
Queen B7 on the board, by the way. And then I have to start consolidating, right? Something like Queen E4.
Queen E4, Rook to the 7th.
Yeah, and this will just be a draw, right?
I don't know if it's
King B2 or something.
Yeah. How
King
weak
B2.
is this pawn? How weak is this pawn? So
Rook.
if we get these types of positions, let's
I think
say
you go King H7 immediately. I don't know if you can waste time. This feels like it's a draw, right?
It does. It does. I agree.
Maybe I
think
misplayed it with white at some point. Maybe King A2 was wrong. Maybe I should go to B2, gain that tempo. Like Rook D1, King B2.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Rook D1, King B2. Okay.
And just say you're not really worried about the first rank because I always have King A2. This bishop on E5 is really powerful.
Great defender, yes.
Okay, so you still have to play Rook D2.
Hang just a second here, Maurice. Just a
Rook.
brief moment, because I'm fair enough. Well, I'm a little
Bishop
bit
F4
worried
is an
about Bishop F4, right?
Mhm.
If I go Rook to D2, then I'm like, oops.
What if you had played Rook D2 in one move instead?
Instantly, keeping this guy in reserve.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe Bishop F4, the same move.
Yeah, Bishop F4.
Just tickling. Well, at least in this particular case, A1 isn't being defended.
But that's the thing. Like you have two rooks. Two rooks are terrible for checkmating anything. If I also go something like Queen A8 and I start threatening Bishop H6, you don't really move the rook from the D file because of Bishop D6. I hit the A5 pawn.
Yeah.
This looks like a
This looks
two-result
like
game,
I'm missing,
maybe a one-result game.
I'm misplacing my rooks is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Bishop takes E5, Rook takes G5, Queen takes B7 is on the board, and Maxine is down to 8 minutes in this vitally important game. Let's just remind people that MVL, with a victory, would be only a half a point out of first. So, I mean, you can't emphasize how important this game is. But okay, how to coordinate the rooks best? Obviously,
How about Rook
this is my
check, King
question.
B2, Bishop B4? What is that?
Sorry, what?
Rook check.
which rook? Sorry, Rook B1 or D1? Rook D1.
Yeah, because I'm afraid I want to play Bishop B4, but I feel like if I play Bishop B4 in one move, you have Bishop B2. I'm not sure if that's
You want
true.
to put the king on B2.
Yeah. Okay, the
Okay,
king goes
fair
to
enough.
B2. that's
Okay.
clear.
Now, the nice part is, as far as checkmate on G7 is concerned, the bishop, which was covering that square, we've also got a rook covering that square. So we're not worried about any checkmate occurring on G7. Now, Alejandro, how do we reposition the queen so it's so nice?
Because C3, the C3 looks totally undesirable, right? So that's a plus.
This is one of those. What did you say a moment ago, Alejandro? The rooks don't checkmate anything. This is like
They don't.
This is lifting your kimono. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. C3, no.
Yeah, so what happens here? If your king is pushed to B2, the rooks are coordinating with the bishop to create options. My only I can play. I was worried that Bishop C3,
But I am curious, like why is your bishop better on B4 except optically?
Well, we're not sure yet. We're just asking
I'm
the
actually
question.
completely not sure. I just wanted to bring
I go
pieces
something
into the
like
game.
I put my queen on E4 with Tempe.
No,
because
I'm going to tell you
Tempe
the
are
reason
nice.
why. I'm going to tell you
check
the
and
reason
check.
why, right? I'm going to tell you the reason why, Alejandro. The reason why was I was actually threatening your bishop.
What?
That's why I
You
moved
are
my bishop.
actually threatening my bishop.
So queen g2 check was before with the bishop on f8. I'm not threatening rook takes e5 because of queen
Correct.
g2 check.
Clear.
So that's why I moved the bishop. So now I am threatening rook takes e5.
Did I have?
I don't think.
queen
Actually, I'm not even
b8
threatening
check?
it in this position because you got queen b8 check.
Yeah.
Well, I'll fix that later. I'm going to double
Okay.
rooks and. No, I
Okay,
can't really get to that
Alejandro
one.
has a very direct idea. He says, well, first of all, let me reposition my queen on the more central outpost, queen e4 check. So now I've defended the bishop with a game in the tempo. Now,
All right.
what's the next follow-up, though, Alejandro?
Bishop d4. I think I want to
Bishop
access
to
e8 kind of,
d4?
or unless bishop f4 is immediately something. But yeah, maybe bishop f4 is also very dangerous.
Because you've got queen e8 check ideas, like something like this. You're forcing me to put my bishop back on the passive square, right?
Right. And then here I can even hold on to my pawn with e5, bishop e5. You get a very similar position, but I feel like black's really tied down. I'm going to play
Wait,
bishop
rook
c3.
e1 here?
Yeah, that's fine. But that's the thing. Black can make a series of almost threats, but the coordination of the queen and the bishop here is just so much better than the rooks, right?
It just feels it, yes. So queen takes b7, and check this out, guys. And again, our apologies to Wang Hao and Carol. It's just that this game is just absolutely riveting. I should at least give a little respect, and it looks, what do we have? First instincts. Perpet? Okay. Let's go back, and we're back here. Looks like a perpet is afoot in that game.
What if you maintain the integrity of your position and play the move rook to e8? And as soon as I said that, he decided to put his piece on squares where it could be attacked potentially. But with bishop f4 potentially.
We don't care about no stinking integrity.
That's pretty
You know, I sounded so intelligent when
I know.
maintain the integrity. Rook d2, keep it wild, keep it crazy. All right,
it's the commentator's curse. The commentator's curse is you will never in a million years take the pawn. He took the pawn. Hate that.
I was trying to get to e2, but by direct means without allowing the queen to be able to go to b8 and all the pinning issues that you were talking about, Alejandro. Just sidestep and say, attack your bishop, move it now, and then go to e2, and then bring the rook, some kind of action like that, or check and bring the rook to g. I think that line was actually forcing.
Yeah. Rook e8. Now, you'd won my heart there with integrity.
Bishop c3 played by Grischuk. Remember that Grischuk doesn't have a lot of time. We're not that far from move 40.
What number? We're at 38.
38, but still Grischuk can't just fall asleep on the wheel, right? Bishop c3 attacking that rook.
We're anticipating rook check, which is I guess he wants the king on b2. I'm not 100% sure why, but that was why he would play rook d2, right? Or
why can't bishop c? Can he play rook e2 again?
Just say, okay, you've got your bishop on c3. Good, job well
bishop
done.
b4 is not going to happen. The pawn on a5 is defended, and there's a rook g1 followed by rook g2 check threat.
Kind of sighting. That's right.
Is it actually defended? Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Looks okay for
Need
black.
to follow up, guys. I need to follow up to rook e2.
Why is this okay? Like I just defend this pawn, maybe like queen f3. Rook e2 played, by the way.
Rook e2 on the board. I missed that. So you want to
queen
go
f3
here,
and I defend like
check.
rook, king b2, and I put my queen on, I don't know, f5, let's say.
And do I have time to play bishop b4?
It's a good question, actually, right? How do we evaluate that endgame? Not clear to me. Let's catch up with the game, though, because they are playing differently than we are calculating right now. Queen c8 was played by Grischuk after rook e2.
I think he's going to the same line.
Same line, but you can take on a5,
No,
right? If you go,
it's not the same line.
It's not the same line, because if you go rook g1, king b2, rook g2, or if you play rook g2 immediately, I think I do take on
In either
A5,
case,
yeah.
I take, and there's no trickies at all, and I've got this guy covered. Ooh, so that's why he may have to keep his rook on g5, but then what do we do for another turn?
Man, I feel like I'm going to ask a question, and then somebody's going to take my grandmaster title away from me. Is that endgame
But,
actually lost?
Which endgame?
Just out of
This guy.
curiosity's sake, like rook g2, bishop a5, take, king h7.
Oh, I mean, it's a legitimate question. Why would we berate you for this one?
I'll
It's
take your grandmaster title away for lots of other reasons.
But not this one in
one's
particular.
Pretty okay. You know? I mean, the time that you didn't give me a knight when I needed a knight in a Bughouse session, yeah,
Oh,
that
man,
was
that-
pretty
that's
hurtful.
been
Bishop
anytime.
d8. Bishop d8 would be the best try here. No?
Yeah, bishop d8 might be finish.
This looks winning, actually.
Yeah, with the bishop on e7, you kind of... Do you?
What are you guys looking at? This looks like a really easy.
Easy conversion. No, I have to get the bishop out of
The cage quickly.
the cage first. But then I probably don't have enough time to do this.
You mean after bishop? How do you get your bishop out of here?
No, bishop c5 is what he was like. Some move like bishop.
Okay,
C5.
all right. No.
From the start.
No, I got an idea. Don't call me. No, I got a better
Yes.
idea. You go check.
Okay.
To get into this line, you go check. King b2, rook g2. Bishop a5, rook c2. Queen c2, bishop a3. So you don't have bishop d8 at the end.
King b1. Oh, so you get the
Take
tempo.
king h7.
Mhm.
This endgame. How's this endgame?
Bishop
King
d8.
h7 here.
King h7, bishop d8. Bishop doesn't belong on a3 either.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's the same thing.
Bishop
right?
d8 still
I get
doesn't.
trapped.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
That's
actually
it was
very
stylish, but it put the
That is
bishop
very sad.
twin
The
square on the
bishop's
other
actually
side.
not better at all on a3.
We see the check. The check is on the board.
I like the way you started with, I've got a much better idea.
It didn't
Put the
help me.
bishop on a3.
But we're going
guys,
into this,
we're
guys.
going down the
Rook
line.
g1, rook
Look
g2
at
play,
this.
bishop a5 we expect, right?
Yeah, that's why he played bishop c3 and queen
I mean, queen
c8.
f5. If we're debating that bishop a5, rook c2 is a draw, queen f5, rook c2 must be a draw. So
This is, wow. I mean, MVL has played remarkably up to this moment. Is MVL saying, do you have a way of continuing?
You know
Right.
what? The king doesn't have to go to h7. You could keep the king out of, you could keep the bishop out of e7 because that's the whole point.
he's
And
taking
we're going down the line. We're
Rook
going down the line.
C2.
You could play king f8 and bring the king central. And how do you win that position? That's a different argument. That's a whole different argument.
Wait, why didn't he play
He didn't
bishop
play
a3?
bishop a3.
Why didn't he play bishop a3? So you had king f8, right? That was the whole point. You go rook c2, you go rook
Oh
c2, queen
my
c2, bishop
gosh.
a3. That was your point, right, Maurice? King
That was
b1,
your
rook
point.
c2.
Bishop a3. That was
Bishop
yeah,
a3.
Bishop a3. And we were just going along the line to improve it. Here, instead of playing king h7, which is a disaster because the bishop ends up on e7, you play king f8 and bring the
Right.
king to the middle and help defend this way. It's the same defense that he's playing, except with a centralized king. You did lose one tempo, but it's no big deal in this position because the bishop doesn't get to the critical e7 square. Man, if MVL now loses because of a subtle momentary endgame lapse, he will smack himself.
Is it lost, though?
Incredible.
Is it lost?
The
Well, the
current
game position,
let me see.
the current position, you can't get what you want.
You're just
So-
a tempo
Because the
down,
bishop
right?
is
This
gonna be
king
on
gets all the way to
E7.
d5.
Our great fear is that once White establishes his bishop on e7, he'll anchor the pawn on f6, and then he'll just choo-choo the b
All the
pawn
way.
of the board.
No, you have to move the bishop out. You have to go like bishop d6. I wish my bishop was on a3. Oh my God, why did you play
Don't you
bishop
wish?
a3?
Okay, bishop to d6.
But here I'm too fast with the king, right? King e4. I just like good king d3, king f8, king e4. And I get all the way to d5. No way that's a draw.
A missing move. One
Oops, sorry, that
large
was a
tempo
mouse click.
loss.
Whoa, so everybody who may just be shortly joining
my
this, it was
gosh.
at this, we think a Zwischenzug right here may be the difference between drawing and losing. Bishop a3 check was an opportunity for black to get his pieces out so that his king could get to e8. Instead, quickly captured, and whoopsie daisy, because, okay, let's see it again. So bishop d6, what happens, guys?
King d3.
Bishop here.
But bishop c3 gains the tempo here.
Oh, bishop c3 gains the tempo. I'm thinking you're playing bishop d8. I apologize.
So
Why couldn't you play bishop d8 there?
it also probably works, but bishop c3 I think is immediately winning.
I think you're right. Okay, hold on, just a second. Let's just see this again. So if I go king f8 now,
But
you play king c4, right?
no way you survive
No.
with the king on d5, right?
Okay, just go ahead and
Yeah,
the
b4,
pawn is
b5.
basically going, right?
I get my pawn all the way to b6 by force.
Mm.
And to b7 by force.
that sounds like doom. To b6, you know,
over.
like,
This
if
is
my
over.
king could get to b7, just a second. So if my king, no, my king
Yeah.
does not get to b7, your king gets to c6.
So you just have to keep moving the bishop.
It's over. No,
Yeah,
can't.
you just play
You can't
b6,
move
you
the
go
bishop.
b7.
B6, b7. And then bishop back to e5.
And I think bishop back to b4 is the easiest, but this will work too.
Uh,
No, not like this.
Try and do this.
And
at
this
all.
also
yeah.
doesn't work, man.
This wins.
This doesn't happen at all.
Everything is winning. The B pawn is simply going up the board. So again, I'm just going to flash back and forth. This is the current position, and we think that king h7, bishop d8 is easy for white,
Yeah.
and we think that bringing the
just
king,
marches.
it's just too
Easy king.
slow
Easy
because the king
conversion.
gets to d5. In a previous version, shall we just double check our what
King f8 here, yeah?
yeah. If I get my king to d5, isn't
No,
this,
but now bishop
No.
b2.
Because
Bishop
bishop b2
B2.
here. When the king gets to d5, you have bishop b2. This is very
thank
important.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
It's just
no
not good.
question. Absolutely no
Full
question.
tempo lost. You know what's crazy? We talk about the Grishchuk rule. If you have time on the clock, use it no matter how obvious the situation, right? That's the Grishchuk rule. If we go back to when he played rook takes on c2 the first time with check, that was move 41.
Oh, no.
Queen takes c2. He had a full
No.
hour to think about the
30
position
minutes,
where
yeah.
where you might say, does bishop a3 make a difference? Let
It
me
does.
just analyze, right?
Let me just double check.
Analyze. That's what Grishchuk would have done. You'd have said, Grishchuk, why are you thinking about rook c2? Grishchuk might not even have taken on c2. On the previous move, after
might have
bishop
just
takes,
stopped
he might
here.
have stopped here and said, oh, you know what? It's move 40. It's move 41. Let me breathe a second and analyze. He might have gone into a 10-minute think, and we'd be like, what is Grishchuk thinking about?
Yeah, I've
Right?
got alternatives.
I've got alternatives.
I can play
What he did,
too.
MVL just said, I'm just going to play what I saw. I got the extra hour. I'm just not even going to use it. It would be a waste of time at this moment. And boy, he wishes he had paused for just 1 second and considered the situation. Take a little bit longer look here, because he literally just blundered away the whole game and the championship and the chance to have any chance of the championship.
By the way, the more I am looking at this position, the more I am thinking that black did have alternatives to rook takes c2. I'm not 100% sure, but rook f2, you can't play bishop b4, because then I'll play rook takes c2. There was alternatives, and MVL right here, he didn't hesitate. He recaptured.
Actually, I don't think there were alternatives, Yasser.
There wasn't?
No, because rook f2, you go bishop d8.
Rook f2, you go bishop to d8.
I think that's game over.
I'm not going to disagree, because it just, but why exactly is it game over? I'm sure I'm missing something, but I mean,
Bishop b6?
Bishop b6. Now, can I?
But now you can maybe do this.
My king
maybe.
might be. I don't know, but definitely the moment has passed because he did not take
your
his
statement.
time.
You didn't say there were great alternatives. You just said there were alternatives, right?
Why not think?
Why not just stop and look?
Why not think?
It's worth just looking for a second because you're going down a completely forcing line where you're a pawn down, and you better know the evaluation of the position when you get here. If you're sacking your rooks here with all your time on the clock, it was move 40 when he played rook GG2. It was move 40, and he had 2.5+ minutes on the clock from what I remember. Right. So when you play this move, that's move 40. He just took on A5. Get the water.
Take a moment.
Stretch a little bit. Okay.
Right.
Maybe it's not going to work out. Maybe it's just a draw. Let me make sure I'm not making any mistakes. All right. We're going to just spend 10 minutes here as a professional and look at the position and make sure I'm not overlooking nuances.
I have a Zwischenzug. I can play rook C2 and I have a Zwischenzug.
And I have a bishop A3. Is that going to matter? I'm not really sure. But I should be looking at it. What did he do? I'm just going to make the moves and get there because it must be a draw. Oh, man. Wow.
Oh, wow. And he has played king H7 on the board.
But by the way, are we 100% sure this is winning? I mean, obviously, I think bishop A3 improves your position. Let's not kid ourselves, right? Bishop A3 is just a better version, and everything we said is true because you should be thinking. But how sure are we that this is winning? Like 100%?
Well, if you're going to ask
I would say
like
yes.
that,
I would say it's 100%.
I'm never 100% about anything. But
yeah, why
he
not?
looks. You want to
let's say I
who's
go
gonna...
here, and let's just say I do it in the worst possible way, so that even if I give you all that you could possibly have, a great king, and I'm just seeing in those previous positions we were analyzing, guys, I'm just seeing the B pawn make a touchdown. I mean, you said, "Oh, I get the pawn to B6 and B7," and I went, oops. You know, you got that far. Oops, that's a bad boy.
What you need is that for that to be a C pawn, maybe even an A pawn, or definitely an A pawn, or a C pawn, but not a B pawn, because the queening square is a dark square, and that's the worst thing you could want. If it were a C pawn, if it were an A pawn, you draw immediately. Because you could just rush your king over to the A8 square and sack your bishop for the F pawn, and then you'd have the wrong color bishop. If it were a C pawn, your king is headed straight to C8, and you're wondering, how do you win that one? It looks like you could actually sack in a timely fashion on F6 there as well. White would have a lot of work. But the B pawn, it's the perfect pawn against that dark square bishop. The perfect one. This is the one pawn, if any pawn's winning, that's the one, right? You could actually pick any pawn along all the files. I'm looking at it, the H pawn, the G pawn, the F pawn, any one of those. The worst one black wants to see for this opposite color, this similar color bishop construction is the B pawn queening on that dark square. That's the worst one you want. And for white, the best one. Like, thank you.
Guys, I'm going to give this game a quick break. I just want to go into the game of Kirill for just a moment to see if a perpet has been played. It sure looks to me, I'm seeing a lot of checks. I don't see a result yet, but I'm just seeing a lot of checks.
Even if there's no perpet, is either side playing this for a win?
No. We expect this a draw. Hey, guys, I think now is kind of a good time for a commercial because I think we've actually hit a lull. I am expecting a draw here, and I am expecting in this game the players, their awareness to grow that this position is just busted. Well, what do you think?
He's going to sit for a while. I don't deny that a break is a good idea. It's possible resignation might happen at any moment, but at least one game will be going on. So let's say we go on break. Don't be surprised, folks, if Maxime actually resigns the position.
I would be crazy surprised. I think he'll think for an hour before he resigns.
Maybe so, good. But I wouldn't be stunned either. Either way it works. Let's see. Let's get on a break, and we'll be back to looking at these standings.
Yep.
You may have heard about St. Louis's world-class museums. art, history, science, even magic. But you may not know we have an entire museum dedicated to play, with a 10-story slide and a Ferris wheel on top. Don't let all this family fun slide by you. Whose kids it is? St. Lou is always exploring. Anybody?
Since 2009, our mission has always been to teach and promote the value chess brings to our community. In these times of social distancing, it's more important than ever that we stay connected to carry on that mission.
We are currently offering 24 weekly classes online through our YouTube and Twitch channels. We're also holding tournaments and private lessons online.
From the comfort of their own home, students can enjoy all the benefits of our Scholastic Chess Initiative digitally. Our Scholastic outreach continues with virtual chess classrooms, Scholastic tournaments, and Scouts BSA merit badge workshops.
On behalf of everyone at the St. Louis Chess Club, we hope you and your loved ones stay safe and continue to watch, play, and enjoy the game of chess.
St. Louis University is celebrating its 200th anniversary. Offering world-class education in the heart of St. Louis, SLU attracts students and professors from around the globe. In 2015, SLU partnered with the St. Louis Chess Club to start a top-tiered collegiate chess team. On the very first year of the team's inception, SLU obtained second best university at the Pan American Intercollegiate Chess Championships. Higher purpose, greater good. St. Louis University.
Professional golf returns to St. Louis in 2021. The Ascension Charity Classic, presented by Emerson. Stars like Phil Mickelson, Ernie Els, Jim Furyk, and more compete at Norwood Hills Country Club, September 6th through the 12th. Tickets, clubhouse passes, hospitality suites, and Pro-Am foursomes are on sale now. All proceeds go to North St. Louis County Charities. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com or call 314-938-2828. PGA Tour Golf is back in the Lou. The Ascension Charity Classic.
A St. Louis Public Radio journalist's most precious possession isn't a notepad, camera, microphone, or recording device. Their most precious possession is credibility. A journalist's work revolves around the truth, finding it, verifying it, and reporting it. Great journalists work hard to find the facts and put those facts into context, examining all the arguments and including differing opinions, amplifying fascinating voices from our community, telling captivating stories, offering facts that may have been omitted. We work every day to earn your trust. For news, turn to St. Louis Public Radio.
The St. Louis Chess Club is pleased to announce the expansion of our world-class chess facility. The 20,000 square foot expansion and upgraded facility will feature new ground-level classrooms supporting players of all ages, as well as expanded tournament and community gathering spaces with state-of-the-art technology. Accessibility upgrades, including a new 3-story elevator, will provide access for all participants and allow even greater community engagement in the great game of chess. As a proud resident of the Central West End neighborhood for over a decade, our hope is to build upon our investment into the community and solidify St. Louis as America's chess capital and preeminent global destination for lovers of the sport. We look forward to seeing you in our new space in 2021, when we will host the 2021 U.S. Chess Championships, 2021 U.S. Juniors and Senior Championships, the Sinkfield Cup, St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, and more.
Welcome, everybody. We are here. It's round 11 of the candidates' current standings with already a couple of games finished. Jan Nepomniachtchi held Fabiano Caruana to a draw, even though Jan had the white pieces, and he leads the tournament, but his lead has shrunk as Anish Giri just obliterated Dingleren over the board, and he finds himself only half a point behind. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is doing his best to try to survive the current position he has against Grischuk and say that he still has a chance in this event. A loss would put an end to his hopes for sure. Meanwhile, Wang Hao is still fighting against Kirill Alexenko. Remember the schedule. We have a round tomorrow and then our second rest day. The tournament will probably finish off with games 13 and 14 on April 26th and 27th, with playoffs if necessary on April 28th. Guys, I was taking a look at this position on the break, even throwing in Bishop A3. Table bases say winning for white.
Ooh, yeah. And as we return to play, I also, on our break, did take a quick look and just to see what the agent said, plus 15. And I was like, oh. So yeah, Bishop A3 would not have changed matters, but it was a moment to
complicate the
consider.
win, though.
It did. Let's show everybody that moment where it was right here that after Rook takes C2, the time control had been made. Queen takes C2, and this is the moment where we thought the Swish and Zug made all the difference. It didn't, and explain why, Alejandro.
Well, apparently the important thing is to kind of control Black's pieces. And after King F8, which was the move that we liked,
right?
The idea and that you have to find is King C3,
which is a little bit counter. Yes.
King E8, and here the point is to go Bishop B4. And you're not on time to attack the pawn on F6, right?
No,
so
exactly.
You gain that tempo, you go Bishop C1, you go King C4, King, let's say D7, and kind of amazingly, this is important again because King D5, Bishop B2 fails. Yeah, this is apparently some sort of draw. You have to go to B5.
King B5.
Yeah, you hold on to the F6 pawn, and you put the king on the A file and push the other one.
Difficult moves to find. These are not intuitively obvious moves, but I understand why you want to get the king to A6 as soon as possible in order to give the B pawn the grand escort there. I get that. But yes, King C3 followed by Bishop B4, King C4, and King B5. Very ultra precise moves would have still done it, huh?
Yes.
Nice.
And by the way, I mean, those moves, again, accentuate the fact that the B pawn is the key in this ending, right? Winning the game. Amazing. The truly remarkable sequence there, playing the king to C3, the bishop to B4, and the king to B5. Those are 2,900 moves in a row right there. Yeah. That's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Really? Are you kidding?
And you got to get them right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a difference between a draw and a loss right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a draw and a win, sorry.
You know, it's funny because MVL had a real chance to draw against Fabi, actually draw on the board, and missed the setup, but here had a real chance to make it extraordinarily difficult for Grischuk, table-based level difficult, right? Where we are unable to just say, oh, just this, and this. We got the procedure down. You need some super accurate ideas in order to win that game. And once again, slipping both Najdorfs, not getting the luck of the Najdorf on his side. Everybody's testing him there. And once again, his pet opening, leading to end games that middle games that look as difficult near death, end games that look potentially tenable. And that's where he's losing them, actually. Funnily enough,
it's true. Yeah,
he's losing them in the end game after suffering difficult middle games both times. And maybe that's the truth of the opening, right? Maybe you'll survive the opening. Maybe you'll be okay. Maybe you'll find some line that somehow miraculously holds on by your fingernails, but somewhere you're going to slip. And because of the time pressure or because of the difficulty of defending all the way through, and there you go. you go over the edge.
You just presented this beautiful point that I really do enjoy making. I make it very often. Is when I think about world champions, great world champions, I think great endgame players. To my mind, Vasily Smyslov, to choose one, was a great endgame player. Anatoly Karpov, really a great endgame player. Magnus Carlsen.
Bobby Fischer,
great endgame
Vladimir
player.
Kramnik,
great endgame players, right? And I'm just thinking that there are also Rands, really great players. MVL's a great player. I'm just wondering about his endgame. I don't doubt his abilities at all. I think he's great. Some of his endgame play, well, we've just seen a couple of examples. Unfortunately, he's under rather harsh light and the examples we just saw. But Alejandro, jump in. Who have you admired over the course of your studies and said, geez, I wish I could play endgames like that guy?
Shirov. I think it's highly underestimated, because when we think of Shirov, fire on the board and tactics and all these sacrifices and stuff. But honestly, he is one of the best endgame players of all time. If you see his endgames, he was very clean, very technical, very precise, and his calculation allowed him to play some brilliancies in the endgame. I mean, remember one of the best moves of all time, Bishop H3 against Topalov. Wow. I mean, his tactical prowess allowed him to play some beautiful endgames, and he not only that had really good technique during them when he was number 2 in the world. So for me, it was Alexei Shirov. Growing up in the 90s, seeing his games and saying, look, wait, this guy's not just tactics.
Yeah. Well, Gary Kasparov had that quality as well. Gary Kasparov, you might think, well, Gary, opening novelties, vicious attacks, blow you off the board. But again, his ability to calculate, he could drop some good end games on you as well. You had already been so devastated by the blows that got to the end game that you might just, it's technique. It's nothing special. And your eyes were lit up by the tactics the same way you said about Shirov. Gary put some end game, put you out. You're dead. Don't move anymore. It's over. Lay down.
How about that move that Karpov played in the end game against Gary Kasparov in a world championship match? Knight G2, yes! Instantly, that was like, he put that on the board and Gary went, oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, some great end game players, and defense wins championships too, asked Magnus Carlsen.
Did you say Capablanca, by the way? Did we say Capablanca?
I didn't.
You didn't say Capablanca. How could we talk about a world champion with great end game
players of all time?
And now mentioned Capablanca.
Thank you. Very, very, very good. Okay. Unfortunately for MVL, and I don't know what is happening on the clock. Let me just go back and forth here for a quick second. Why is the game rather frozen?
Because Grischuk is Grischuk. And he's thinking for 22 minutes on this position. He's taking his sweet time, I think, calculating till the end, right?
It doesn't make a difference, though. I mean, it feels like White can't lose this, cannot not win. He goes king here, puts his bishop here, puts his king here, and pushes his pawn home. Is there anything wrong with this idea?
Well, when you put it that way.
Excuse me. What is the Grischuk rule? Why are we not following the rules? If you have time, use it. Maybe even abuse it. It's the Grischuk way. Spend some time and look. If Maxime, we said, had followed this rule, he might have found a tough resource in bishop to a3, but he didn't. Grischuk will spend time, even on obvious captures. Grischuk will spend some time and get himself right. So did he have a win earlier in this game? Was it only one?
I don't
Was
know.
it 2? Was it 3? Grischuk had so many chances that he blew that. Can you blame him if he stops and looks at the end game, even when it's pretty simple and straightforward looking? The last time we remember him blowing it was playing rook to ace h5 instead of Alejandro's rook to h3.
H3, yeah.
Right? I mean, we remember that. He remembers that. He's not trying to blow another game. He's not trying to blow another chance. He wants to stop and look.
Here, by the way, for those who are joining us late, what Maurice just referenced was that in this moment, Alexander Grischuk played the move rook takes h5 on move 31, And it's strange. It's the queen is the one who wants to take on h5, and Alejandro had suggested rook h3, keeping the square unoccupied as a difference maker. As it happened in the game, rook h5, this looked crushing, queen h2, rook h8 mate, but there was this extraordinary move of rook d4, and after rook h1, again, the queen wants to get to h5. If he had played queen h2, there was this check that makes all the difference in the world. And it was rook d4 that allowed Maxime to crawl back into the game. Unfortunately for Maxime fans, it ain't going to be enough, because we do have, oops, let me make sure. I think these are my moves, not Grishuk's moves. We do have a losing endgame for MVL at the moment on the board.
To me, practically also, I don't know if he didn't see it or if he evaluates it differently than I did, but I felt the danger of the two rooks against the queen.
Yep.
And maybe this point where Maxime could have gone rook h4 instead of, I think, queen d5.
Right here, sorry. Yes, in this moment, we were thinking that there's two crucial ways of playing. One was queen d5, which was the game, and it went into two rooks versus queen. And the alternative was a really tough one as well, was to trade queens, get the queens off the board, something you were pining for, Alejandro, and going into this maybe difficult ending. We'll just leave it at that for the moment, but at least with the queens off the board, you felt that this was better chances for black than the game.
Absolutely. I challenge you to actually even win a pawn, right? I'll try to be solid, put a pawn on b6, a bishop on c5, and try to hold on fortress style. You do have a pawn on f6 that I can always attack. I'm not thrilled about my king, don't get me wrong, but
hey,
it's maybe not the end of the world.
Well, because unfortunately what we did see instead was a situation where it was very awkward for black to coordinate his rooks while maintaining his king position. And after the move bishop takes a5, it's immediately self-evident it's a 2-result game. And here, rook c2, there was an alternative, maybe rook here or rook here, and just keeping the position for a moment. By the way, I'm told that Grishuk still hasn't moved. Wow, really crazy. There seems to be such a direct route to victory. I'm a little curious what do you think he's?
I think it's just calculating till the end over and over. I mean, what is spending another half hour just to make sure that you're actually winning, right?
Right.
When you calculate it all out, you'll play it instantly.
I mean, our very first impression was just put the bishop on e7 and push the guy home. Our second impression is you didn't even need to do that. Maybe the bishop is much better on e7 than on c3. It is, after all, anchored.
They both win, so it's kind of...
Yeah, that's the way I feel. If they both win, what's the problem?
And we'll have more chess after the candidates. Remember that the Grand Chess Tour is coming back after a year hiatus. We have the first classical tournament of the Grand Chess Tour in Romania. It'll be June 3rd to the 15th. Superbet Chess Classic held in Bucharest. That's going to be very exciting. Some of the best players in the world, many of which are playing in this tournament. We'll be following it up with the Blitz and Rapid portions, Paris, Croatia, almost back-to-back there. Those are going to be great. I actually particularly love the Paris tournament. Great memories from there. And we're going to finish the tour here in St. Louis with the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, followed immediately by the classical Singfield Cup. Those are great tournaments. Chess is back, guys, and we're going to have all the action for you. I'm really looking forward to these events.
Me too. I'm really happy to see the players play over the board events like this one, in fact. But the Singfield Cup, ever since its it came to being in 2013 has been the greatest event on American soil, as far as I'm concerned. And what a series. And I'm looking forward to the Sinquefield Cup very, very, very much, as well as the Grand Chess Tour. Hopefully we'll be all able to call the action all together in a studio. That would be nice.
That would be ideal, certainly. It's been a year of online commentary and online games, and well, there's big plans. There's a lot of tournaments coming up that hold a lot of importance. World Cup also happening in a couple of months. That's going to be a big one.
Exactly. As we were coming on air, you were telling me about a tournament that's taking place in the St. Louis campus, and you didn't even know about it. Do share that with our American viewers, because it might be important for them to try to qualify for the World Cup 128 player knockout.
It's an increase
Alejandro.
to 156 this year.
What?
And
I didn't know.
That's right. It's a more World League Cup, as the top federations, the top, I think, 80 or 100 federations get to choose a player to represent them. And there are, on top of that, qualifiers to the event. And the Americas qualifier, or Continental, will be played in a hybrid system, one of the new FIDE ways of playing chess, in which everybody from one country will be in the same room, arbitered by an international arbiter. But you still play online, so that way you can still participate against players from all over the continent. And the top 8 players of that event, which will be held in May 22nd here in St. Louis for the American players, will determine who qualifies to the World Cup to represent the Americas.
And is that a Swiss?
It's a knockout.
Is it an invitational? The qualification is a knockout.
It's a knockout.
And you can play that online, but you have to play it in person, and you have to go to St. Louis and the St. Louis University to do that.
That's right.
Okay. Wow. How exciting. Are you going to play?
I'm already preparing.
The answer is yes and yes. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. How about you, Maurice? Are you going to throw in some patties?
I didn't even know this thing existed until he said it.
So you're not preparing, okay?
I imagine the answer to that is no. But I want to get back to the standings.
Yes.
And the road ahead for some of these players.
Okay.
Right now, we're thinking MVL is going to lose this game. It looks pretty clear.
It looks bad. Yeah.
Which will bring Grischuk tied with him at 5.5 points. Right?
Yep.
At 50%.
Right. They'll both be at 50%. Now, if we're going to talk percentages, Nepo is still got the best chance. But Anish is surging. I mean, he's got to feel great and feel like he could win another game. But he did lose to Nepo in the very first round, right? Is that correct?
Right.
It says tie-break.
He lost to Nepo. That means a win by him. If he goes +1 and Nepo breaks even, he loses the event.
That's right.
He doesn't.
Yep.
Like, congrats, you win another game. No what? So what? So he's actually, in reality, a full point behind. It looks like he's only a half a
full
point.
point behind Nepo.
Behind Nepo, he's actually a full point behind Nepo. If they tie, it's not going to work out for him.
But taking
and they don't play, and they don't play each other at all coming up because they've already played.
Because of what you said about the road ahead for the players at the top of the show, taking a peek ahead to tomorrow's round, how big is that?
Wow.
Bobby versus Anish.
Bobby versus Anish. But let me say this. You say, how big is it? I'm not really sure how big that pairing is. It's clearly a big pairing, but the problem is that Anish, like, he doesn't really have to win, although winning would be huge. Like, I mean, but it's not like he completely has to win. Does Fabi winning do anything? I guess Fabi winning actually makes it better for Nepo, right? If Nepo draws his game, because
Fabi winning make it better for Nepo? I don't think so.
No,
because remember that Fabi will have tiebreak over Nepo.
Right.
They're equal on the head-to-head. They are equal number of victories, assuming that Fabi catches.
I'm not talking about that's exactly what I'm talking about. Your point is Fabi wins, Anish is done.
Yeah,
that's over.
That's over.
Anish is no longer chasing. It's over. He can't win. It's just over. If Nepo draws and Fabi wins that game, there's only one person for Nepo to look at, and it's Fabi. There's nobody else, right?
Right.
Fabi's a full point behind. So Nepo, I mean, who do you want to win if you're Nepo? You want Fabi to win.
You want to draw.
You
want to draw.
You want to draw.
Look,
let's be very clear.
But listen, a draw by the two of them still leaves both of them within range of you. A win by Fabi kills a player. Which one do you prefer? You're going to be a half a point ahead of somebody. Would you rather be a half a point ahead of one and 1 point ahead of two? Or do you want to be, or do you want one guy to be gone, but the other guy to be
I'm
right
happy.
behind?
Wait a minute.
Wait, no,
I'm really happy to answer the question. I want to draw.
Yeah,
I definitely
yeah, for sure.
Because I think Anish drawing gets rid of him. That gets rid of him because that puts Anish a point behind. And the other guy that I'm really, really afraid of, Fabiano, I keeps him a point behind me. So yeah, I think if I'm Nepo, I'd love to see Fabi and Anish make a draw. That'd be like just fine. That'd just be fine.
So,
2 rounds.
so what happens? What happens if you? I guess I'm wondering if there are two players within range.
The
lose a
one
game.
guy I'm worried about is Fabi, because if
Yeah.
Fabi beats Anish and he's only half a point behind, and we saw it in Berlin. What did Fabi do in Berlin? And in this most grueling, exhausting double round robin event, he wins his last 2 games to surge and become challenger. Yeah, so I'm saying if I'm Nepo, keep that guy at an arm's length difference.
I agree completely, especially with Anish having the worst tiebreak. We'd rather have Anish be the closer pursuer.
Right,
and
because of the tiebreak.
Grischuk, after a long think, is going straight into what we thought was the cleanest win. King d3, put the bishop on c3, put the king on c4. Push that guy. Make sure that you start with the king, not with the pawn. You can play b4 in this position. We will play b4 in this position. We're waiting for Maxim's move. But the idea is, of course, you first get your king to the a file, and then you start pushing the pawn. And we didn't find anything.
No, we sure didn't. The bishop is just doing a fantastic job. Of course, you can win back the pawn, but by the time you take that pawn, this b pawn just goes trotting happily all the way up the board and home. Yeah. So the one thing that we'd hoped previously is like somehow the black king would be somewhere near this zone, let's say on the c6 square, but well, frankly, he's just not getting it there. It's that simple. Black's king is too far away, and white is ready to coordinate the victory. But let's take a look at the road ahead for these players, Maurice.
Well, we've got Nepo, and he's got Wang Hao tomorrow. And actually, basically, he has Maxime sandwiched between the Chinese contingency. And we see there, it looks like Wang is a dangerous player, of course. He beat him in the first half. He also beat Ding Liren in the second half. And Maxime, will he have any kind of stomach for playing chess after he loses today? And his chances just simply derailed. He will go down in flames with only a chance to win out if he's going to have any opportunity to do this. I don't know. Those look like good pairings, I would say, for Nepo. That's something that he would like to have going into the last 3 games. Although I would also say those don't look like 3 draws. Those look like the kind of battle-tested players, wild enough that anything could happen, except maybe in the last round with Ding Liren not playing great. But those next 2 rounds are going to be crucial. We see Fabi playing against Geary, big-time game there. Ding against Grischuk. Will Grischuk have any desire to play wild chess, but with Black against Ding Liren? Maxime wounded against Alexenko. Will he just go for it, though that's the lowest rated player in the tournament?
But he's still kind of far, right? If he wants to keep his chances alive, he needs to win. Even that, I don't see it. Wang Hao against Nepo. No, MVL.
MVL has to win out.
Yeah, I think
he's got to win against Alexenko and win against Nepo. Those two
That's his only way, right?
Must be done. Looking at the standings, he's got to do both. In which case, if he can pull that off, a win against Nepo, if Nepo doesn't win tomorrow, he would be tied with Nepo with 2 wins. Right. 5.5 would suddenly make 7.5. So if Nepo draws and Maxime wins, so Maxime can only take this one day at a time, win the next game and go for it all against Nepo. And then looking at Fabi and Anish, they're sitting pretty ahead of him, but they need to also get a point in Anish's case and 1.5 points in Fabi's case to keep pace. So Maxime's chances are still there. 2 wins is the deal. Tomorrow is must win. And then the next day is also must win.
But I think the way we're seeing things is that the difference between Anish and Fabi, for practical purposes, is the same to Nepo right now, right? Because Anish is a point behind and Fabi's a point behind.
Correct.
Even though it says half a point there, the tie breaks, we come back to these tie breaks. Yeah. The head-to-head between Nepomniachtchi and Giri favors the Russian. So it's a full point behind if you want to see it from a practical point of view of Anish. They're going to go all out, guys. Tomorrow's a do or die.
For so many players, and I'm sitting here suffering with Alexander Grishuk. I mean, again, that game that he lost to Kirill, one that could easily have gone in his favor. I mean, how important was that game? Because I mean, if you already chalk up the victory for Sasha in this game, he would be at 50%. If he hadn't lost to Kirill, he would be at +1. If he had won against Kirill, he'd be at +. Wow. I mean, it's some tension-filled first rounds of this second half. We've just seen the move B4 on the board too.
Hey guys, what is Anish's road ahead? We've been talking about this. Who does Anish get in the last 2 rounds? He's got Fabi. That's a big dog, but I don't recall him having heavy hitters in the last 2 rounds.
I mean, they're all heavy.
Well, but
who's light in this tournament?
Look, there are people you'd rather play. I mean, would you like to play Anish right now?
No, no, definitely not.
The answer is no. So
luckily for Anish, he cannot play himself. Let's see the road ahead for him. Ding Liren, he did win that game today. He will be playing with black against Fabiano. He will be playing with black against Grishuk. And he finishes with white against Alexenko. If that's a must-win game, that is the pairing you want.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Against Alexenko.
Okay, yeah. We're talking about heavy hitters. They're all strong. But you got to say, white against Alexenko. Let's keep that in my back pocket. Do I need to beat Caruana? Do I need to beat Grishuk?
Nepo for me. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There we go. Here we go. Somebody he's got white in that last round, and his handlers are circling now and saying, "You might have to win this game right here. Okay, so this one right here, we're gonna prepare as much as possible and hope he pulls off what he did against Nepo and make it nice and easy for you. All right, so we're gonna circle that one. But look at those other 2. Fabi, on the other hand, he does have Anish tomorrow. And 2 games again, you say, there's some chances in there in the mix. Those 2 players are not the draw meisters who are going to just settle things down, shut it down, easy draws. I'm going to say, hold on, circle those 2. I'll have my chances after all. Didn't he famously beat Grishuk was it Grishuk he beat?
Last round in Berlin.
Last round in Berlin, and with the black
pieces. It was the last game to finish the event, and
there you go.
Declined to draw.
Declined to draw. Pleasant memories, maybe.
Absolutely.
There's still a lot to play for. I'm not sure tomorrow's game. I think it's super important, but it's not hyper must-win critical. Nepo has 3 games left against 3 diverse type of players, but especially that Maxime game. Might Nepo trip? All we need is a trip. Just one little hiccup.
Well,
there we go.
Well, he's got destiny in his hands, that's for sure.
We have a profile on Jan Nepomniachtchi. Let's take a look.
Russian superstar Jan Nepomniachtchi is now atop the leaderboard. He was not considered one of the top 2 favorites in the event, but his scintillating win against Anish Giri, followed by some powerful blows against the 2 Chinese players, has now put him in a beautiful situation moving forward. Will he be able to close the deal, or will he collapse under the enormous pressure? We will see as this star tries to bring home the possible challenger's title to his country.
All right, guys, we have a move by MVL, bishop d6. I still think king b5 is winning, although with the bishop kind of awkwardly posed on d6. I'm also wondering if I can just play b5 here.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same way as you. I'm thinking he's just going to play b5, because if you can go b5, b6, and then post your king, why not, right? I mean, get that pawn as far up the board as you possibly can. And after b5, if black goes back with the king, well, this is a very suggestive move. Put your king on d5, put your bishop on e5, so that you can play b6. That looks really straightforward. The only question is, have I slipped and missed something? Yeah, king b5, but I don't think it requires any subtlety. I think it's just b5, and then the b pawn just lands. It's like a ton of bricks as it just goes right up the board. It's just
there's some cute geometrics about a b pawn.
Please,
by the way, and for one thing, it's very difficult. A lot of times when you have a pass pawn and a bishop, and it's bishops battling to make the promotion happen, it's very difficult to actually queen the pawn clean, right? What you're actually trying to do is win the piece, because it's very difficult with accurate play for the defending side's piece to just be ejected completely. And then you simply cannot stop a queen from happening, and it's going to be a queen on the board. So what I mean is, let's make a couple of moves. Get the pawn to b7, and he's played b5. Let's get the pawn to b7, Yaz. Let's put the. Oh, he's resigned. I can't even.
He's not even going to let us.
For another time.
Save that scintillating point, because the guy resigned. But you did want to say that the blockading square, if you get your king, to maybe.
Let's play king. Just play some moves for black. Don't bring the king in. No, don't bring the king. Leave the king on e6. Let's say, and get the king down.
Well, the problem is the king is just going to go marching to c6, the pawn to b7, and the bishop here. MVL doesn't see anything he can do about it.
No. That's not true. That's not okay. That's not exactly true.
Why?
Do what you just said.
Okay.
Keep going. And now I bring the bishop back.
Bishop a5.
So now this is the point. I can't take your pawn because bishop c7, bishop a7, right? Now, this is the unique thing about the b pawn, right? Or maybe it's also true of the c pawn as well, the limited space that this bishop has. If it were a d pawn, the bishop would be dancing along the diagonals. Yes? Right? Yes. But it just so happens that the bishop and pawn are not enough to simply queen the pawn. You need more help, and the fact that this bishop is restrained by the A file, like there's no extra diagonal. This was my point, that the geometrics are that you just don't force a queen home unless you get all kinds of additional help, or in this case, just a king showing up on A6 and dominating that bishop. If we shift the pawn over to the D file, then you can't trap the bishop. You have to win it as a straight piece.
It's like
so it matters which pawn we're using, right? And that was my point.
Yeah,
the B pawn makes it easy.
The bishop's diagonal is so short on the A7 B8 diagonal, as opposed to say the D8 A5 diagonal has more squares. The bishop on A7 can just get hit by the king on on a6. Guys, this is a fantastic victory. I mean, let's face it, for Alexander Grischuk, his stock went up, and for NVL fans, that was just like the worst start to the second half.
I disagree with the stock. The stock going up, the stock to me, that somebody's stock who went up, went down horribly is MVL.
That is.
They have the same score. They're 50%. They're out of the tournament, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, unless they win all their games.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think
Grischuk got to win all their games.
Grischuk has more of the destiny in his hand. But again, I just want to say, for MVL, this is like nightmare. I mean, you know, he's had a year to relish the fact that he was tied for first. And as there was a wonderful article by Alex Yermolinsky, and he talked about the historical candidates tournament, this double round robin format. Check it out on chess.com. And he basically was making the point that since 2013 and the current candidates double round robin tournament, usually in the first half, there's been two leaders, but one of them fades away. MVL was just hoping it wouldn't be him. And it's like history, you know, repeating itself.
Yeah.
Actually, I just again thought about it. Grischuk's chances are actually worse than MVL's.
No, really?
Because Maxime plays Nepo. Grischuk already played Nepo. Maxime plays Nepo. Maxime can take destiny into his own hands and knock Nepo down. Grischuk can't touch. Like, who does Grischuk end up playing in the rest of the tournament? Because
he plays Fabi, right?
He plays Fabi and he plays Anish, right?
And he
plays Fabi and Anish. So he can continue to play spoiler for his countrymen. Frenchman out the way, whoop. Maybe Fabi, whoop. Anish, let's try to knock them all off and give Jan a chance.
I mean, if you knock everybody up, he'll become first himself.
You might even catch him in that case.
He'll take the victory crown, the challengers, for himself. No, I mean, actually, I think he plays, Grischuk's road ahead is that he plays Anish and then Fabi in the last round.
He's another player, though. There's a third he has to
He's
play.
playing tomorrow against Wang Hao, I want to say.
Wang Hao, yeah. Okay, makes sense. No,
I mean,
because, wait a minute, Nepo plays the Chinese players and MVL.
We just had the pairings.
Grischuk
Grischuk plays Ding Liren tomorrow with Black.
Ding Liren. So you got Ding Liren with Black, and then two of the people who are going to try to kill him in the last two rounds. They're going to try to kill him. So I don't see Grischuk as having much of a hope in this tournament. But one player who's got a hope against hope is Maxime. Got to win tomorrow. Excuse me. Better do it. And then when he gets his chance against Nepo, that's it.
Better do it again.
That's right there. You got to do it again. Those are some pretty steep odds, but at least there's that remote chance. Can he bring himself together? The way he's playing in this tournament so far, do any of us believe it? His form has not been great.
No, it hasn't. And
His form has not been great.
The way he is, I want to say, mangled, abused his time control, his use of the clock has just been horrifying. I mean, if I was his second, I'd be in the hospital, heart attack. By the way, we still have a game going on, and Kirill, Wang Hao, essentially is saying, "Hey, I'm a pawn up. I'm ready to play on. Let's continue the game." Now, how much is this extra pawn super meaningful or not, guys?
With the king so exposed and your extra pawn being e5, I'm gonna go with no.
Kind of doubt. I doubt it as well, right? Maybe just something as simple as like queen c7, and in case of h3, take the darn pawn.
I like centralizing, but I think that every move is good. But queen b3, queen d5, I thought was kind of
the most
direct, because I didn't see how you would defend e5 comfortably.
I love
Bishop g7. You drop c5, right?
Yeah, and then h3.
I take.
Just a second. Let me catch up with you guys.
Okay, now what do we want to do? Can we get anywhere near your bishop?
By the way, sorry to be party pooper for just a second. Anything? No, you do after queen d3. You do play e4. I was about to say that queen d3, if I could force a trade of queens in favorable circumstances, that would be easy draw. But yeah, sorry, you were here.
So what I want to do is I want to somehow be able to fork your king and bishop. So queen f3 check.
Yeah. Or queen e4 check. One of the two, right?
Oh, let's do queen e4 check. Yeah, let's do queen
But
e4
queen
check.
e4
So I
or
go
queen
for-
e3?
Well, where's my king going? First, I guess I can I run away? Can I dance?
I'm just gonna go to e1. I don't see why.
E1.
Ah, e1. You have one to play
wanna...
queen h1, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Yeah.
Even that, I'm not sure. Actually, can I allow that? King e1, queen h1, king e2, queen h2. Ah, no, you have g3 at the end. Queen f2, g3.
Oh, that would be
beautiful.
Oh, that's
Saucy.
the shower chill, the coldness, the why am I such an idiot feeling.
We all know that feeling.
Oh, we do. Again,
so maybe not to e1, right? You go to d2, you were saying.
Okay, so d2 somewhat exposes, but what I'm looking, the reason I'm bringing this up is I'd like to be able to take advantage of this bishop sitting on e5 at some point, a little tactic against this bishop. Let's just take on h3 with something. Now is
probably with the pawn, right?
I think it's the pawn that I want to take.
Because if you take with the queen,
it feels like you're one step away.
Yeah, you're too far.
Okay, now can you take on? I don't think you could take on this square. I just don't believe it. Can you really do this?
Of course I can.
It's legal, but
but why wouldn't I be able to?
What if I play queen f5?
I think I go queen d1, king d1. Oh no, I'm too far away. Man, I'm too far away. That's kind of unfortunate. I'm trying to trade queens.
Right. Well, you can trade queens if you're trying to trade queens.
Yeah. But am I in time?
You're saying that you're not going to get to h1? Or are you? I think you're going to get there, actually. I think that's a draw.
I think this is because I still have a b pawn.
That b pawn against the dark square bishop shows up again. There's different circumstances, but it looks like there's no way to push.
I'm going to put my king to f3, and then I'm going to push my pawn.
Yeah, without the pawn, it's a loss, right? Because you get zugzwang. You go king g6,
right.
king f3, king f5. But with the pawn, I think it's just an easy draw.
I can use it as a distraction.
To be fair,
b-pawn was quite
I'm not really sure we had to go into such details to make a draw for what.
It's always good to learn.
I would say you're just on the edge. You're making things.
Okay, so queen f5. Queen f5 was a mistake. Queen f5 was a mistake. Offering the trade.
But we do have this position on the board, Maurice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking at queen c5, h3, right? h3 is probably the only idea.
Yeah.
But here in this position, why don't we just come back
c5
with the
play.
Queen?
And queen f2 looks easier, right? Why are we
Much
complicating
easier.
our lives?
Why are we complicating our lives?
Oh, wait, queen e4?
Yeah,
and king back.
Queen d3, king e1, yeah?
Queen d3, king g1.
Yeah, g1 maybe even now. Nope.
Yeah,
doesn't look like much.
No, and not when I've got different checks suddenly ready to appear either. And by the way, queen c5 on the board. Oh boy. I tell you, there's something special about the candidates tournament. To be frank, I don't like the World Championship cycle. I'm not a big fan of the World Championship cycle at all. I think winning the candidates tournament, 8 players, double round robin, it's a very, very fair system. But for the challenger, I mean, there's only one place. You've got to win the event, and it's very, very tough to become challenger. Magnus Carlsen was lucky with the way he became challenger through a mathematical formula. Having said that, the format does allow for extraordinary fighting games and makes the event such a tension-filled event. I mean, the players must play with their hearts pumping at a heavy rate. I mean, Fabi was a very impressive challenger, right? But think of how, remember this, guys, the one that Sergey became the champion. Remember, we were literally having a celebration before the penultimate game, right? We thought Fabi was like a 75% winner to become a challenger, and then it was a funeral procession, at
Everything
the end
that highly?
for us. Yeah, I thought so. I mean, and remember, he was like, was it against Peter's Fiddler that he missed a clear win?
I think he fumbled the Rook and Bishop win against Fiddler.
Yes.
But
and then before that, he did something bad too. Is it Levon? I'm not sure. But I'm just saying that this format is, it's tough on the players. It's brutal, I would say.
Really. Guys, I want to look at this ending. I like what Wang Hao did. You didn't have any chances anyway. So, all right, let me use what I have as trumps and see what the situation is. So here, Queen E4 check is another move instead of H3. And test your king. And now I want to play Queen D3 check.
On the board, by the way, Queen E4. King F1, I think, is not the only move. You can go F2. What's the problem with going to F2?
The problem with F2 is your queen can't come back.
Okay.
So maybe H3 becomes a more forceful move in that position.
Okay.
Right?
Queen D3 check, you said you
Queen
wanted
D3
to
check.
test?
And
now
you're walking into a G3 idea now.
I don't like that one at all. So I guess I got to go slide.
Now, what if I still play G3?
Or maybe I should slide. I don't know where I should go. Help me out here, Alejandro.
Well, let's just start with. Let's just pick one. Let's just pick all of them. There's 3 of them.
I'm going to play devil's advocate just because I want to see the win. Go to the worst square.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't know what the worst square is.
I think
we don't know what the wins are, so we're going to try. We're going to try all of them.
We're going to try to lose a good F2.
King F2, G3.
Take. King E1. How do you actually pick up anything?
No checks on this side.
So there's no E4 that's ever going to be possible.
No.
So King
E4.
E1 is the secret. Bring the king to this square.
And that was giving you G3 for free, right?
Yeah, no. We appreciate it. Seriously, anything you can do to help us.
No. Be mindful. Be mindful. Actually, if your king is on G1 and you didn't give me G3 for in this way, F2 is better than the king on G1 because king on G1 you'd be stuck in that corner and you'd
in the
have to start
doghouse. Different
kind of dancing you're going to need. But this one, at least your king is safe-ish. Where it is. So this is definitely looking like a better square, in fact. So G3, King E1 looks...
He did, by the way, play sensibly, I want to say. I think King F1. I mean, I will, in this case, after Queen D3, play King E1. I hear you. I think maybe G3 is not even a threat, but chess grandmasters are like this. They don't want to give you anything. I remember I was in Argentina. It was great. This was fantastic. We're top grandmaster tournaments, and everybody, Lubomir Lebojevic, Lajos Portish, Jan Timman, Ulf Andersson, we all gave 20 boards simultaneous to children. It was marvelous. I gave, 6 draws, just for the kids, right? I mean, come on. And, we were having this wonderful, wonderful dinner, and Ulf was missing. It's like, where's Ulf? He's still playing the simultaneous. Ulf Andersson, 5 hours later, is still playing the simultaneous. He makes it for dessert. And we were like, Ulf, what were you doing? He says, I was trying to win control over the G3 square. It's like, you grandmasters don't give away anything, like, come on, like they're kids, give them a draw. No. It's my fault. No. We're like, it was terrible, but okay.
Different GMs have different attitudes about that as well. I remember when I was coaching a team in Harlem, back in the 90s, the Dark Knights of Mott Hall. And we did fairly well. And we do see king to E1, as you mentioned. So we have the position on the board.
And give you nothing.
And so the team won some tournaments, and we're doing quite well. So we got some notoriety, and we actually got Susan Polgar to come to the school. We got Karpov to come, and Gary Kasparov played.
Whoa!
So we got some big names.
Cow! Yeah.
Susan actually taught there, so it was familiar to her, no problem. Karpov shows up for a simul, and Karpov is playing the simul, and little Aileen Espinoza comes dressed. Actually, it was this color dress that she had on. She was just all suited up that day. It wasn't school day. She knew she was going to play Karpov. Karpov's playing this simul, and he's going around, and he's whipping on all the kids. He's just destroying them. H3 played in the game. He's beating all of them, and he gets to Aileen's position, and it's about move 13. She's alive, and he goes, yeah, let me be nice. Let me be cool. Nietzsche. I offer you a draw.
Nietzsche.
So he offers a draw, and Aileen looks at him and goes, no.
Nice.
Like,
no. Get out
really?
of here.
Okay. So they make a couple more moves. Karpov gets like a pawn or something, right? He's up a little material now. And he's like, I'm still going to be nice. And he says, draw. And by the way, takes on H3 was played. He goes, draw. And she goes, no. He's like, this little girl. She's maybe like 10 at the time, okay? So they play, after Queen E4 check on the board right now, they play a few more moves, and now Karpov's up a piece.
Uh-oh.
And it's bad now, and she can see the vulture circling. And Karpov, ever the gentleman, decide, draw.
Draw. Last chance.
Okay.
Nice.
Can you imagine turning down Karpov, even in like a classical game? By you one-on-one fight. This guy's offering you a draw, and you're like, You're only up a pawn. Sorry, Anatoly. Show me what you got. But he didn't mind. Now, Gary, on the other hand, Gary was like,
Gary will give you nothing.
Gary said it very clear. No, they have to earn it.
Yeah.
This is history we're talking about. You draw the world champion is because you drew the world champion. Gary gave no draws. It was boom, bing, kill, destroy, crush. That's it.
Right. Exactly.
Different players have different attitudes. So Ulf was relishing that subtle endgame position. Karpov would have given up that draw a long time ago.
I remember I was at the St. Louis Chess Club, and Ben had lost a game. He was playing in a Swiss, and he needed to unwind. And so he told me what he had done wrong. And this is a little boy sitting there watching the game, eyes as big as saucers as we analyzed back and forth. Ben got all his frustrations out, and I turned to the little boy and I said to him, would you like to play a game of chess? He behaved like a perfect gentleman during our whole session. And he goes, okay, but I've got to warn you, I'm the kindergarten champion of Wisconsin. I said, I've been warned.
And we have a result, guys.
We do
it
have
is
a repetition.
draw, as we expected, between Kirill Alexenko and Wang Hao, and that finishes round 11. What a round, but I think Anish giving himself chances with that win against Ding Liren. We did analyze his tie breaks. They're not pretty, but being half a point behind is much better than a full point behind. Exactly. And he's putting that pressure on Jan Nepomniachtchi.
He certainly has,
game.
Wonderful. And tomorrow we'll be back for more action as we have these pairings for round 12 all set up. And it's like every day the pairings become more and more crucial, guys. I think it's a huge game tomorrow between Fabi and Anish.
Absolutely. Fabi against Anish. All eyes on this one. But don't forget, Nepomniachtchi with the black pieces against Wang Hao. Will Wang Hao try to press? Will he be able to? That's going to be an important one as well. Meanwhile, Ding Liren against Grishuk. I'm sorry, I don't see either one of these people really vying for first place in this tournament. MVL, you said it has like a really outside chance, but it starts with beating Aleksenko tomorrow. Is he going to be able to do it? The Russian player had a disaster against Nepomniachtchi, but besides that, he's been in a kind of solid role and not easy to beat at all. Can MVL do it? Himself has not shown the strength that we're used to from him. He has calculated well, but at the end of the day, the results have not been there. -2 in the last 4 games. That's not good.
That is not good at all.
And
so
we will stand by for just a second. We might have somebody join us. Yasser, what do you think are the chances realistically of it not being Nepo?
No, Nepo is just, he's looking so good. And again, as we mentioned before, his immediate pursuer, Anish Giri, losing on a tiebreak means that he's still maintaining, for all realistic, a 1-point lead. Yeah, he's maybe as high as 75% at this moment to be challenger to Magnus Carlsen.
Wow, yeah, I was thinking about the same number. 75%.
Yeah.
But what if he loses a game?
Well, then
his chances go down.
They take a nosedive. His stock goes down.
I mean, you guys are saying he's going to play against Wang Hao, always a dangerous customer. A very motivated Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and a potentially awake Ding Liren in the last round. Of course, Ding Liren is a question mark. But do you see a potential loss out of any of these 3 games?
Well, the problem is Nepo himself. I mean, he's mercurial. He can play incredibly fast and like just, oops, blunder. So, you know, it all depends. If he decides that he's just going to play the best chess he's ever played, become challenger, you just tip your hat.
What does that mean, best chess he's ever played? Like, is he going to make 3 draws?
Good, solid. No, I don't think he's going to be looking for draws, not in that sense. Rather, I think he's going to be saying, hey, I want to play for an advantage. I'm playing for an advantages. And if my opponents are going to collapse, like Kirill did against me, that's on them. That's not on me. He knows he can taste this multi-million-dollar match in Dubai at the end of the year.
And
he wants.
What does it mean? He's a fantastic player. He's won major events before, no question about it. He's got nerves up the yin yang. However, that said, he's never vied for a world championship. This is a candidate. This will be something that he puts in his pocket for the rest of his life. His moment is here. What do you feel about? This is the question I have for you. What do you think about the nerves factor? This is the X factor. Do you think he will have any right now?
Well, this is the point. This is his first candidates. This is his rookie debut, right? And he's making the most out of it, and he's impressed everybody, even though, yeah, he lost the last game of the first half. But hey, he was +3 going into that game. So yeah, he's impressed everybody. And as far as I can tell, in the second half, help me out here, Alejandro. I don't see a problem. Has he made any missteps?
No, he's playing well. He's playing fast as usual. I think he's just taking the chances that he's given. He isn't over pressing. Game against Anish Giri in the first round, okay, he was white. He didn't think that he was a must-win game. Played some sort of solid Sveshnikov with the white side and didn't risk too much. He took his chances against Aleksenko easily. Did really, really well.
Cruise to victory.
Yeah, today's game, I mean, also with the white pieces, should I take any risks? Nope, let's exchange all the pieces. I've used up my whites. And I just don't see him being in bad form. And sometimes about Nepo, he's a streaky player, but he's not shaky. He's not shaky right now at all. And he's playing against some players that, let's face it, you play Ding Liren on round 14. Guys checked out. I mean, it's different than when Ding Liren played Fabi on round 3, right? You're still trying to get back in the tournament, but round 14, you're in last place and you play the leader. What are you really playing for, right? And that's going to affect you huge. I mean, there's a difference in the preparation that you could take into a game that matters for the championship title. And we're like, you're either 8th or tied for 7th. is that really going to make a difference? And
well, listen, guys, I'm hearing you say you're ready to bet the farm on Nepo.
80% of the farm.
And clearly he's the leader. There's like, what can we do? You guys are a point ahead of everybody else at the moment. So the narrative looks clear. Nepo's tournament to lose. However, he was +3 after 6 games in the first half of the tournament and lost round 7. So let's see if he can avoid that misstep, because if he does, it's his tournament and he will be challenging Magnus for the big prize money when we get to Dubai. But still 3 rounds to go with some hot chasers right now. It all will start tomorrow. We'll see what happens as these pairings mean so much on the line, and still at least 3 people with large hopes that they can do it.
Yep, absolutely. And we see again those pairings. They're going to be huge. Guys, join us tomorrow as we cast these games. Caruana against Geary, we just can't miss it. You know, he's had a year to prepare, and he must bring an idea, must Fabiano Caruana, to win that game. For him, for sure, do or die. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait until tomorrow.
I agree, and I hope we'll see you all. Maurice, Alejandro, always a pleasure to call the action with you both.